Notice of a public meeting of the City Commission of the City of Brownsville pursuant to Chapter 551, Title 5 of the Texas Government Code, the Texas Open Meetings Act. Notice is hereby given that the City Commission of the City of Brownsville, Texas, in accordance with Article 5, Section 12 of the Charter of said city, will convene a workshop, an executive session, and a regular meeting on Tuesday, May the 1st, 2012, at 5 p.m., at 5:30 p.m., and 6 p.m. in the Commission chambers on the second floor of the Brownsville City Hall, located at 1001 East Elizabeth Street, Brownsville, Cameron County, Texas. Workshop item A, presentation regarding redistricting of single-member districts.
Honorable Mayor, City Commission, Mr. Orlando Rios, the city's consultant on this matter, will do the presentation.
Hey, Charlie, is there any way we could kind of turn down the air conditioner? I mean, it's hitting pretty strong tonight. Por favor.
Mayor, council members, my name is Rolando Rios. I'm a redistricting lawyer from San Antonio. I've been doing redistricting for quite a few years. I did the redistricting for this city 10 years ago. I also did the redistricting for the county and Hidalgo and Cameron County, and I also was involved in drawing the new congressional district that's based down here in Brownsville. Every 10 years, the United States conducts what they call the census. That means counting everybody in the whole country. And when that happens, it starts a tremendous legal process throughout the whole country. Every congressional, every legislative, every city council, every school board, every college board has to review the new data, the new census data for each district that elects a representative. The Supreme Court has interpreted this, the 14th Amendment to the Constitution, requiring you cannot have elections until you equalize the population based on the latest census. So this is where we find ourselves today. Your elections are in May of next year, and you cannot conduct those elections until we equalize the population in your districts. I have done the preliminary analysis on your districts, and it's the first table up there. I applied the 2010 census to your existing districts, and the results are as they are demonstrated up there. Just to review the chart real quick, the first column on the left is your district number. The second one is the total population. Again, that's using the 2010 census, the new census. The third column that says deviation, that is the whole number deviation from the ideal. In other words, in this city, every district should have approximately a fourth of the population, because it's the total population divided by 4. Well, that deviation is your number deviation, and then the percentage deviation is a percentage of the deviation from the ideal, and then the rest of the columns is basically your race and ethnic makeup of your districts. What we have in this community, District 1 is the least populated. It grew the least. District 1 is your southernmost district, and it's kind of landlocked. And District 3 grew the fastest. That's the northern district, and District 3 is 8,000 overpopulated. District 1 is 8,000 underpopulated. The good news is that Districts 2 and 4 are almost ideal. The law has said that you cannot have a deviation more than 10%, and here we have 38%. So you're clearly in violation of the Constitution. We have to lower the population. And like I said, Districts 1 and 3 have to be adjusted considerably, and Districts 2 and 4 are ideal almost. Unfortunately, in order to move population from District 3 down to 1, you have to go through 2 and 4, so there will have to be some adjustments there. As an example, I did a plan called Demonstration Plan A. These are just hypothetical plans. And as you can see, I moved population from 1 to 3 and equalized, not equalized completely, but brought it within 10% deviation. In Plan A, we have District 1 that's underpopulated now by only 1,000, and District 3 is overpopulated by 1,900. And the top to bottom deviation, you would add the bottom deviation in Plan A is the -2%, and the top deviation is +4%. You add those up and you come up with 6.82%. That's Plan A. And then Plan B, can you move it up? Plan B and C are two other plans that we have proposed and have been sent to you that again try to equalize the population. And I think that if you look at, let me see here, I think it's District 2. See District 2? In B and C, it doesn't change any, okay? Because like I said, 2 and 4 are okay, but in order to move the populations, you have to get into one of those two. So in plans B and C, District 2 in Plan B and C do not change. So those are just some hypothetical redistricting plans. Once you equalize the population, then I do have to take this plan, take it to the Department of Justice up in Washington and get it approved before you have your elections. And I'll be more than happy to answer any questions you may have.
Is the object to try to get from top to bottom deviation as low as possible, or what
As
is?
long,
I mean, what I'm trying to figure out, what's the best formula that the Department of Justice or someone looks at to say that's the more ideal?
yeah. The Supreme Court, they realize that in redistricting you have to have a little bit play in the joints, you know, flexibility. Anything that it's less than 10% for districts like this, for city council and school boards and that, anything less than 10% is fine. You can go 9, you can go 1.
And I understood that when you said it. What I'm saying is, do they like for you to try to get as low as a possible deviation, or does it make any difference?
It doesn't make any difference.
As long as it's under 10%.
As long as it's under 10%. I will tell you this, Mayor, though, for congressional districts, they are at 0. But of course, each district's got 800,000 people, so you can pretty much reach 0. But with the smaller districts like cities and so on, you can have more deviation up to 10%. It doesn't make any difference. But like I said, for congressionals, you have to have 0% deviation. I don't know if that answered your question, Mayor.
Yeah, no. I was trying to figure out, you know, hey, is a Plan B just because of it's under 5%? Is that more favorable for whatever considerations? I'm not even sure what the guidelines are.
Well, I can go over them real quickly. One good thing about B and C is that they don't split any voting precincts. And a lot of times, if you want to bring the deviation any lower than that, you'll have to split voting precincts. And when you split voting precincts, it's a little bit harder to administer your elections because you can have one voting precinct that's in 2 different commissioner districts, and it's hard for the elections administrator to allocate the voters sometimes.
Now, that's kind of confusing. So B and C, there wouldn't be overlapping in districts.
There's no voting precincts that are split, except in the city limits, because the city limits do split.
Yeah. Commissioners, any questions? I'm not sure that.
You're saying it's really up to us.
It's up to you. And the general rules are equal population, number 1, get it approved by the Justice Department, and then incumbency, communities of interest. You all are your elected representatives. You have a relationship with your constituency. You all are the ones that get to draw the lines.
And what, is there a deadline that we have to make a
You
decision?
have to have it done. Your elections are in May, and you have to have a plan approved. The Justice Department process will take at least 2 months. And then you have 40 days before your election for people to start announcing, right? They start planning to run for office. So you got to have 40 days before the election date, and then probably 3 months before that, so we can go through the election process. I would urge you to, in the next couple of months, I can come down here, I can meet with you 1 at a time, 2 at a time, as long as we don't go over and go over these plans and draw a district that you want.
Mayor, I know that when I met with Mr. Medina, Ben was pretty insightful in what we need to do, and was very clear on the maps that he demonstrated that came from your office. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
And they're demonstrated, but there were some concerns. But like I told Ben, those are concerns, like the gentleman is saying now, that we must discuss within the commission. We must discuss within the districts, and we most certainly have to discuss with the at-large representatives, because there are gives and takes as far as the boundaries that are being set. Of course, there are only examples.
Yeah, those that I drew and sent to Mr. Medina, I had no input from you. Those were just hypotheticals.
It was just hypotheticals, yeah.
It's very important that I get your input.
Yeah, but even then,
you're the elected public.
Okay, and would I mean, just give me a little bit of an insight. You go to different bodies that are elected. Do they ever have like a workshop so the public is fully aware of the discussion and the concerns of the
We're gonna-
at-large?
Yeah, we're gonna have to open it.
So you know, wherever Charlie is, or, I would suspect that, you know, depending on the want of the commission, but we should probably try to set up a workshop to discuss these maps and the considerations of the at-large as well as the individual districts, to kind of have the input of everyone. To be honest with you, I've never been through this process, and it's totally new to me, but I'd like to learn.
In the meantime, like I said, if you all want to set up a meeting because I've got it in the computer, I'll sit with you, you say, okay, this is where I live, can you move this voting precinct here and see if that'll work? And there's also political, you may want to get rid of a mother-in-law. Hey, this is I want her out of my district. Or you may want to add her in this. They're all valid considerations.
We love Old Suegadas, okay? But no, here's what I might suggest in order for us to have a meaningful discussion is those things that you have proposed, perhaps maybe, I'm sure they're all in a computer, you can email them to each one of us.
Absolutely.
Or to the secretary, and she can forward it on to us so that we can kind of have an idea of what you're talking about before we get a workshop.
Absolutely.
Would that work for everybody?
That'll work.
Yes,
Okay.
and I think that when we come up with a final solution on this, that it needs to be something that comes from you and anyone else who's helping you, because it needs to be very objective.
Absolutely.
And we need to leave politics aside and not have any meetings behind closed doors where we have individuals that may be trying to influence how certain lines are drawn.
Absolutely.
And I certainly recognize the disparity, especially with my district, and I welcome evening things out for the other districts.
I'm sorry, Commissioner, your district,
District 3.
yeah, yours is the fastest growing district. You're going to have to shed some population, so you've got to decide, you know, what
No.
areas you may want to.
And I welcome
have
that,
to
and
go to
I
more
understand that. I
televisions.
want it to be as fair as possible. I do understand that the maps, though, that we received, there were some
Well,
inaccuracies in
yes,
it as far as the
yeah,
lines.
I apologize for that. It's 1, 2, 3, and 4, counterclockwise. South, 1, 2, east, 3,
Okay.
north, 4, west.
Okay.
And I apologize for that. I didn't realize that had occurred.
Okay, I didn't know that. And last night I was looking over them and I was stressed out because I thought, am I going to have to
No, no.
move or what's going on? I suddenly live in District 4.
You can renumber them however you want, by the way, but you have to do it. I can't do it. And in between now and Mr. Medina has my cell number, and you can call me and say, look, what about this? What about that? There's no problem with that.
Okay,
Because
thank
I
you.
work for you. In fact, I cannot talk to anybody else about drawing districts because you're the people that I work for.
Okay,
Okay, well, thank you very much.
Appreciate your time and your effort. Thank you so much.
thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you.
We've got 8 minutes.
Record time, huh? Okay, so it's now 5:22.
5:25.
5:25.
5 minutes.
I'd still entertain a motion for executive session, so that we can get kind of, I think John Chosey, I mean, we can wait till 5:30, but if everybody's here who's got some business to attend to at the executive session, John's got another commitment, and he's got some matters that I'd like to take him out of order first, if that's okay with everybody. Okay, I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Is it Bill Moore? think it's 6 o'clock.
Pledge of Allegiance.
If everybody would stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible.
And Pastor Bill Moore from Living Way Family Church, if you would, thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Mayor. And Brad wanted me just real briefly to tell you about our Hope for the Border event this week. This is not a Living Way Church thing, but across the board we've invited other churches to join us around the city, and we just declared this a week of hope for our border. We know our border needs hope and healing and restoration. I don't have to go through all the statistics on how many people have lost lives and what's gone on in the last just 2 or 3 years from here all the way to El Paso. So I want to invite you, allow this to be an invitation. We are doing all week long acts of service throughout the community. We've got a team working at Monica's house doing a home makeover there. United Way, Red Cross. We'll be feeding 200 homeless this week. And then on Friday, we'll be doing a gas giveaway. We'll be giving away free gas on Central at the Stripes there, just to bless the community. So we're praying, but we're doing more than that. We're acting upon our prayers, and we invite you and your church, whatever, or synagogue or whatever you're represented by, to join us in prayers of hope and healing. On Saturday, with the city's blessing, we are marching from Madison Street down. We're going to finish up at the Chamber of Commerce parking lot, where we'll be at 10 a.m. having a prayer gathering. And all of you are invited to join us. We've invited all the ministers, and we're just going to speak a blessing. It's going to be about an hour service and speak a blessing over our border. So we appreciate your support. We have these beautiful Hope for the Border wristbands that we would love to give to all of you. So if you want one, please let us know. And the promise we're standing on, and I'm going to pray if you'll allow me, is Isaiah 60:18. The Lord gave a promise there of healing for our borders. And he said, no more violence will be heard upon your border. So, sometimes that's all we have is hope and a promise. And that's what God wants us to stand upon, is his word, and have faith in his word. So let us pray. Father, we do thank you for this gathering this evening. We thank you for our city. Brownsville is a great city. It's a great place to live. Your anointing is upon this city. Your hand is upon this city. And although even many of us maybe in this room don't even know why we're in this place, we know that your will has led us to this city. And we thank you, Father, for hope and healing for our borders. Father, we know that there's been much said in a negative sense about where we live, but we believe the tide is turning. And we speak it so in the name of Jesus, that there is hope for our border. There is hope for this city. And we thank you that there is healing. And we ask you, Lord God, to lead our officials, our mayor, and all of the city officials represented here in this room, Lord, that you give them guidance, that you lead them by your Spirit, and lead them as this city grows and becomes stronger economically, becomes stronger in family, becomes stronger in unity, and becomes stronger spiritually as well. Lord, we just pray that today, and we come in agreement. We speak a blessing over everyone in this room, God, that you would bring encouragement into their life, build their faith, and cause them to see your good hand and your good favor in everything that they do. And we pray it all in the precious name of Jesus. Amen and amen. Thank you so much for allowing me to share with you.
Welcome to Southmost. Thank you for bringing your mission over to Southmost. Thank you for joining us there in the neighborhood.
Thank you, sir. It's a blessing to be there.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Action on items discussed in executive session.
Action on items discussed in executive session. Item A.
Mayor,
Action.
I'm sorry. I move that we advise Attorney John Chosey to continue as advised in executive session.
May I read the item into the minutes? Action on resolution number 2012-29, to authorize the purchase of the premises at 612 East 11th Street, Brownsville, Texas, designating signatories for the purchase and dealing with the related matters.
So sorry. Continue with my motion.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you, John. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Good work. See you.
Action on item discussed in executive session. Item B, possible discussion and action on matter raised in executive session pursuant to Texas Government Code 551.0711A and 2.
Mayor, I move to approve and advise legal to continue as advised in executive session.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. All right, we'll have the mayor's activity update. I think that's a little bit different than the mayor's report. There's a whole lot of updating to do, but I'm going to confine my remarks to, after Pastor Bill gave his talk about hope on the border, one of the things that we had hoped between the two mayors and the two American and Mexican consulate was to have a dinner on the bridge this coming Thursday, and we had all the arrangements, with the only exception was that the railroad regulations apparently kind of, even though we had done all the preliminary work and had gotten approval from them as well as security, there was some provision that says, you know, the last train was coming across at 4:30, and if for some reason they had to roll it back, there was no way to stop it. And so it was the considered wisdom of the entire group that was trying to organize this, that we reschedule, hopefully sometime September, October. At that time, we hope that the West Rail will have it completed, and therefore, you know, we won't have those regulations to deal with. But I do want to thank everybody who was involved in this effort and everyone who participated and everybody who contributed. My heartfelt thanks. This was a charity event. It was for the children and diseases of autism or cerebral palsy or some other various types of disabilities that require a whole lot of help from the community. So I want to thank the entire community. I would tell you that we had 40 tables of 10 chairs apiece, and we had sold out. So we are now thinking about, because of the fact that we had such a great response, not only from the community members themselves, but a lot of the corporate citizens that were in this had asked for tickets and tables, and we weren't able to accommodate it. So hopefully we'll be able to expand the number of tables and participants, and hope to see all of you there. Commissioner Gowan.
Want to give the really great news that we did, as a community, set a world record for a Zumba Atomic class last Saturday. Commissioner Zamora and the mayor joined us to Zumba with many of the school children from Brownsville and Living Way as well. Over 380 children did complete a 30-minute Zumba class, and the Guinness Book of World Records commented, Michael, that he had never heard of Brownsville before, but in the next month he'll be in Brownsville twice, one for the Zumba and in a couple of weeks for the Kids Fish. So he was taking back to New York and further on to London. Great news about the energy in Brownsville. It was also the finale for this season's Biggest Loser Challenge, and to give you brief results, 2,388 pounds were lost in Brownsville over the last 17 weeks. Yeah, it's pretty exciting. By category, there were 735 women and 288 men. What's wrong with you guys out there? The percent that completed the challenge were more successful if you were in a group. For example, let me see, where's the percentage? I can't find that number right now, but the average pounds lost at the final by females was 7.3, and the average pounds lost at the final by men were 11.7. So this was another very good example of how we are capturing the community's interest and attention. We had over twice the number of sponsors this year as we did the last time, and we had hundreds of hits to Facebook and our other media outlets this year than we did the last. So that's number one. Second thing to mention is that on May the 16th, we will be hosting a Complete Streets workshop thanks to 4A and 4B's funding. And we're inviting the community to come at 6 p.m. to the event center to hear about what is a complete street in an effort to get kids to be able to walk safely or ride their bikes safely to school without fear of being hit or run off the road by a motorist, and in an effort to make Brownsville a more walkable, bikeable community. At 3:45, there will be a city commission workshop with Kevin, Mr. St. Jacques, and so I'm hoping that all of the commission and the mayors will be able to attend, and there's a session in the morning for city staff. So 3 sessions that day, open to the public at 6 p.m., commission at 3:45, and city staff in the morning. Please come.
Commissioner, how about giving us a little rundown on the event coming up? I know we have another meeting next before this happens, but just to give people kind of like a save the date.
Okay,
on
save
your
the
May
date.
19th event.
In honor of Historic Month or Heritage Month, I think it is, in May. We know that the buses have left Market Square, and there is a very strong effort and plans underway to renovate Market Square, bring the market back to Market Square, if you will. In an effort to celebrate that, there is a program called Build a Better Block that started with some young men out of Oak Cliff 2 years ago, Oak Cliff, which is a suburb of Dallas. And basically what they did is design a way to stage a block by block and paint it for the community to see what could be possible in that block if the world was a perfect place, if you will, and listening to the input of the community. And it's a way to plan and innovate in real time as opposed to plan for years and years and not see results for years and years. We are going to have a Build a Better Market Square May the 19th. It will run throughout the day, and we're in the beginning stages of planning that. All the commissioners are invited. 2 of you have been able to come so far to participate in that vision of what Market Square could be one day.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner John Villarreal, do you have, you attended another event. I'd like for you to report to the public.
Yes, Mayor. That same Saturday, I couldn't make it to the Zumba Atomic event and the weigh-in for the Biggest Loser because Brownsville was recognized by the state as a Tree City USA for the 13th year in a row. Also there, we received a proclamation from the governor of Texas, and we recognized one of our citizens for their efforts in beautifying our urban forestry. That person was Reba McNair. So we were able to recognize her, and the state forester came down. We planted 2 live oak trees at Lanier Park and also a sable palm. There with us was Charlie Kabler, our city manager, our city planner. Pete, Ben, thanks for showing up. And also all the departments that helped out, Public Works with a tree spade and all the work in the background. But it was a great honor to receive this. Out of all the cities in Texas, the state chose us and recognized our efforts in beautifying our city.
Well, thank you very much, Commissioner. How about on this side? Melissa, do you have save the date for what's coming down? All right.
Yes, definitely. Save the date for our 3rd annual Kidfish event, which is organized and planned by several community partners, including an organization known as Hooked for Life. This event will be held on May 26th on a Saturday morning. It's an all-free fishing competition for children where registration begins at 6 a.m. and runs through about 8 o'clock. And we will be giving out approximately 2,500 fishing rods to our community. And that also includes goodie bags with t-shirts and caps, and of course we'll feed them as well. It's a very competitive event, and the whole idea behind this event is to make sure that our children have fishing rods for the duration of the summer and spend more time outdoors instead of indoors in front of a television. So I would hope that everyone takes their children to this wonderful event. Again, it's May 26th on a Saturday at the Brownsville Event Center, at the park there where we have the resaca, and we additionally stock that resaca every year with more than 1,000 pounds of catfish. So I hope to see everyone there. Everyone's invited.
Anyone else?
Just a quick reminder, this Sunday we have Pedal to Padres, so if you haven't registered, just make sure you come out and register. It's a very, very fun activity, kids involved. My children participate every year. It's a fun activity, so.
Thank you, Commissioner. Okay, proclamations. The Motorcyclist Awareness Month. Is that you, Melissa?
Yes, I believe we have representatives from Bikers for Christ here. Will you please come forward and join us? Hi. Hello. Melissa. Pleasure to meet you. Thank you for joining us. Hello. We're presenting this proclamation today because we do want to bring awareness to the community to be more cognizant of our motorcyclists within the city. Every time I think about accidents and motorcycles, I think of one of our very own leaders, Angela Burton, who is an avid rider and suffered a major accident. So I want people to be more aware of their surroundings. Not only did we recently pass an ordinance to prevent people from texting, but also be more aware of people around you and our motorcyclists. So with that being said, I'm going to proceed with reading the proclamation. A proclamation of the City Commission of Brownsville, Texas, proclaiming the month of May as Motorcycle Safety and Awareness Month in our city, whereas today's society is finding more citizens involved in motorcycling on the roads of our country, and whereas motorcyclists are roughly unprotected and therefore more prone to injury or death in a crash than other vehicle drivers, and whereas campaigns have helped inform riders and motorists alike on motorcycle safety issues to reduce motorcycle-related risks, injuries, and most of all, fatalities through a comprehensive approach to motorcycle safety, and whereas it is the responsibility of all who put themselves behind the wheel to become aware of motorcyclists, regarding them with the same respect as any other vehicle traveling the highways of this country. And it is the responsibility of riders and motorists alike to obey all traffic laws and safety rules. And whereas urging all citizens of our community to become aware of the inherent danger involved in operating a motorcycle, and for riders and motorists alike to give each other the mutual respect they deserve. Now therefore, we, the members of the City Commission of the City of Brownsville, Texas, by virtue of the authority vested by the charter of said city, and on behalf of all our citizens, do hereby proclaim the month of May as Motorcycle Safety and Awareness Month in this city, and further urge all residents to do their part to increase safety and awareness in our community. Done on this, the first day of May 2012, signed the Mayor and the City Commission. Thank you.
Thank you.
Does someone want to say a few words? The representative?
Good.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes.
Okay, now presentations, number 4, item number 4.
Funding for completion of West Wales Bridge.
Okay, we've got Pete Gonzalez, but I think Pete Sepulveda will be making the presentation. Pete, is that correct? Good afternoon, Pete.
Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners. Thank you for the opportunity to come before you and give you an update on the progress of the West Road relocation project. These are some of the project sponsors. On the U.S. side, we have Cameron County, the City of Brownsville, of course, the Union Pacific Railroad, and in Mexico, we have different agencies, as well as the rail operator, which is Kansas City, Southern Mexico. This is just a map showing you the Brownsville, Cameron County area. The next two slides are just some historical background information on railroads in Brownsville, Cameron County. And in 1975, the Brownsville-Matamoros Railroad Relocation Demonstration Project at the Port of Brownsville began. Brownsville was one of 7 cities that was selected to do rail relocation projects in the United States. TxDOT was a partner as well as the Department of Transportation. And it began with the construction of a North Rail Loop and at State Highway 48, 511, FM 1847 grade separation. It involved the relocation or the removal of the Southern Pacific tracks from Brownsville and the construction of the Palo Alto switchyard that the Port of Brownsville now uses. It included the construction of the Olmito switchyard and the closure of the Amigoland switchyard. And then it also included the construction of grade separations on US 7783. And it had recommendations to construct 7 different grade separations along the main Union Pacific rail route, including the 6th and 7th Street Railroad grade separations over the Amigoland Railroad Yard. This was a project that the city worked with the Texas Department of Transportation from 1996 to the year 2000. Unfortunately, after a public hearing in July of 2000, where it was attended by about 300 people, there was about half of the people that were there and spoke were in favor of the project and half were against the project. And so after the meeting, the political leadership from the county, the city, and TxDOT got together and they decided to look for an alternative to building grade separations over 6th and 7th Street. And that's how the West Rail Relocation Project evolved. This is a map that shows you that first segment there is from the Port of Brownsville to the entrance of the Olmito switchyard, what we call the North Loop. And then the next segment is the actual construction of the switchyard in Olmito that today I believe has capacity for 1,200 rail cars. Then from the Olmito switchyard, we would head west and then south onto Mexico. That is the West Rail Relocation Project. On the U.S. side, from Olmito to the river, it's about 5.8 miles. On the Mexican side, from the river to the rail line going to Monterrey is about 6 miles. So it's more or less about the same in miles. On the Mexican side, it includes a new switchyard on the new bridge. So the existing yard in downtown Matamoros will be relocated to the west. These are the different partners. As I mentioned earlier, in the United States, the county, the Cameron County Regional Mobility Authority, the City of Brownsville, TxDOT, Union Pacific, the B&M Bridge Company, and the Department of Transportation. In Mexico, the state of Tamaulipas initially was a project sponsor. And then as we moved further into the project, the Secretaría de Comunicaciones y Transportes became the project sponsor, Relaciones Exteriores, and then as I mentioned earlier, the operator is Kansas City, Southern of Mexico. This is an aerial map, again, shows the route of the West Rail relocation. Because we go right north of the World Birding Center, we had to do extensive mitigation with the Texas Parks and Wildlife and U.S. Fish and Wildlife for the entire project. But that shows you the alignment of the project. This is just some statistics that we have. In the 1990s, there were 16 fatalities, 227 train accidents, 155 injuries, 14 train derailments. And countywide, we have 180 at-grade crossings that carry about 500,000 vehicles on a daily basis. There's 254 counties in the state of Texas, and from the period of 1998 to 2007, Cameron County ranked number 8 in auto train collisions. So that's not a statistic that we're very proud of. The following slides will show you different traffic congestion and safety issues with a plan to reduce the congestion and make it a lot safer. This is a train derailment that happened just off of Palm Boulevard. A train truck accident that happened just north of the Rancho Viejo entrance. These slides are in Matamoros. You see children playing right in swings and children right underneath a rail car. One of the main objectives of the project is to eliminate environmental concerns and to improve the environment. This slide here shows you the train, and this particular bridge connects to the switch yard in Matamoros, but here we see that is the main water supply reservoir for the city of Matamoros. And on the average, a train, about 10% of the cars are carrying some type of chemical materials, and so it's not unlikely for train cars to sit over the water supply, leaking chemicals onto that water supply. More environmental hazard photos, chemical spills in Brownsville, accumulation of asbestos in Matamoros. Some of the goals of the project, obviously to eliminate at-street rail crossings, to eliminate the need to construct overpasses over major intersections, economic redevelopment, increase the property valuations and create jobs, reduce the traffic congestion and the noise, improve traffic safety in the environment, improve pedestrian safety, and then redevelopment of downtown areas and shopping centers. This slide shows you the 7 different overpasses that were recommended in the 1970s to be constructed to go over the railroad. The total cost in $2,000 was $45 million. The local share would have been $28 million, with the balance $17 million coming from TxDOT. So you can see in constructing 7 overpasses at $28 million, but you would still have the rail line going through the center of Brownsville and Matamoros. This slide is what we call a project development cost, and this has the state and non-federal participation. And this is only for the development of the project. Early on, we had to get permits. We had to do an environmental assessment to get environmental clearance. We had to do feasibility studies. We had to get permits from the International Bond and Water Commission, the Coast Guard, the Federal Highway Administration, as well as TxDOT. The next slide shows you the cost, including the design, the right-of-way acquisition, utility relocation, and the construction cost on the U.S. side. Unfortunately, this is not a toll bridge that we can charge a toll so that the train can go across into Mexico. And so we're not able to generate any toll revenues off of the project, and we're not able to sell any toll revenue bonds. Unlike the international bridges that we own and operate, to where anytime we do an improvement or we do an expansion, we have the ability to sell toll revenue bonds and finance the project. In this case, both in the U.S. and Mexico, it was very difficult to fund the project. And so we worked very hard in obtaining state and federal funds to be able to get to a point to where we could get the project to a construction phase. This slide shows you, unfortunately, most of the federal and state fund that is available is not 100%. Most is 80% state or federal and 20% local match. So at any type of federal fund that's used for highways or bridges or international bridges or rail projects, it always normally comes with an 80% federal, 20 local, and so the local communities have to work to get the local match to be able to complete the project. When we look at the engineering, right-of-way acquisition, utility relocation, we're looking at about $1.6 million in local match that's required. For construction, we're looking at about $2.2 million. And then I'll show you in a picture later, but the center span, and the U.S. builds to the bend right to the river, Mexico builds to the bend right to the river. Then the Mexican contractor historically builds what we call the center span over the river to connect both bridges, so that then you have one bridge starting at the U.S. and ending in Mexico. That, the estimated cost of that is $630,000. In this project, because it is an international bridge, we had to deal with the Department of Homeland Security. We still have some issues that are unresolved. We coordinated the specifications for their facilities with the local Customs Port Director as well as the Laredo field office. Unfortunately, after we had designed the project and after we had bid the project and after we had a contractor on board, headquarters, DHS headquarters came back and said, well, we want to change the requirements on the fencing, on the gating, on the lighting, And we want you, the local government, to relocate the VACUS X-ray unit from the existing B&M bridge to the new West Rail Bridge. Well, that's a cost of about $2.2 million that was not in our budget. We're still dealing with headquarters, Homeland Security, and trying to reach some sort of agreement so that we don't get stuck with that $2.2 million. But that's still an issue that is not resolved. So total, to this point, total local match that's required is about $4.6 million. This is some, the next slides will be photos of the progress on the U.S. side. The photo to the left shows you the bridge, and the bottom photo, that's the DHS facility looking north. The center picture are the concrete ties from the Olmito switchyard to where the bridge is at the river. There was a total of 14,750 concrete ties that were laid. And it's a pretty automated system that they used, and I think they laid all 14,750 ties in about 10 to 12 days. So it's an enormous operation that we have going. The picture on the right again is the DHS facility. This is a picture of the Olmito switchyard. This is after the expansion that we did about a year and a half ago to where now it has a capacity of about 1,200 rail cars. This slide shows you the river, the bridge on the U.S. side. There's an arrow pointing to the overpass over Military Highway, and then the bridge portion on the U.S. side. Then the common span, which is the center span, that is the span that the Mexican contractor will come in and install the beam in there, and then we'll have one complete bridge from U.S. onto Mexico. This is just the concept drawing on the Mexican side that starts on the Olmito and then it goes into Mexico. The project cost in Mexico in pesos and in dollars. Again, the cost on the Mexican side is much higher because it includes the relocation of their switchyard from downtown Matamoros to the new West Rail location. Again, another photo of the bridge. This is completely on the Mexican side. This picture was taken actually late January, thanks to Larry Brown, was able to coordinate a helicopter from Homeland Security that we were able to get aerial shots. That shows you as well the relocation of the levee on the Mexican side. You can see the existing levee and the new levee, and then the arrow pointing to where the future switchyard will be. These are pictures in Mexico. Picture on the top left is where the rail line, they're working on the base for the rail line. Bottom picture is the bent that's being built, and the two photos, the top right is the bent right by the International Bridge, and then the bottom photo when it's complete. Some of the project needs, because it is an international bridge project between U.S. and Mexico, before we did any study, the first exchange of diplomatic notes occurred back in 2001 between the U.S. and Mexico, basically stating that they were interested in proceeding with feasibility studies to look at the feasibility of constructing the rail bridge. The latest note, that the exchange that we had was a couple of years ago, basically saying that we were both ready to move forward to the construction phase of the project. And so then the final exchange will be when we complete construction and when we are ready to operate the new rail bridge. But we do have, in the last diplomatic notes that were exchanged, we had some target dates, if you may, that we agreed upon that we would have the project complete, and which is September 2012. The U.S. side, we believe that we will be able to work through the issues that we have with Customs and Border Protection and have that project completed by that date. Our understanding, we had a technical meeting with Mexico. We have had 50 technical meetings with Mexico and all the different agencies in Mexico on this project, and we held the 50th last Friday. They are still confident that they will be complete or substantially complete by September 2012, where President Calderon can come and do the inauguration. The U.S. side, we will have to transfer the presidential permit to the Union Pacific Railroad because they will be the rail operators and rail owners. And as I just mentioned, we still have some issues to resolve with the United States Customs and Border Protection. that's a quick rundown on where we're at with the construction both in U.S. and Mexico. This is the largest rail relocation project in terms of size, not in terms of dollars, that Union Pacific has in the United States of America. So that largest project is going on here in Brownsville.
Commissioners, any questions?
I do. The portion of the rail that now blocks the access road, the frontage road up the freeway on your way to the sports park, that is part of the West Rail relocation?
No, we will go where it goes from the switchyard west. That's where the project will start, but that portion will remain in place.
The reason I ask is you put up a slide about fatalities and accidents and such, and there has been a death of a young man a couple of years ago that went up onto the freeway because that access road is blocked by the railroad.
Right.
Even though the young man was not doing anything wrong and he was riding correctly on the right side of the road, et cetera, et cetera. That has been brought up several times, but Union Pacific is not interested in addressing that. In terms of safety, I think that's important to address, and I wonder about the other points along that relocation, whether or not safety for bike riders and walkers has been considered.
Okay, the problem that we have there is that when the overpass was designed, it did not include the switchyard veering towards Brownsville or towards the north. And if anything, the party responsible for that is TxDOT. The problem you have is that if you get down on the frontage road, because of the rail line that goes from the switchyard to the main line, goes through there, that intersection is blocked, and so drivers have to circle back on and then get back on the expressway to get over that intersection. Whether you're going north or you're going south, it's the same problem. And that's an issue that we've brought to the attention of TxDOT. I know the MPO numerous times has brought it to TxDOT's attention, and it has a fix. You know, I myself have sent TxDOT a design that we did on a napkin that would address that situation. Unfortunately, it requires a cost, and you know, locally and with TxDOT, you know, we haven't stepped up and said, you know, we're willing to fund whatever portion needs to be funded, but there is a fix. It'll include an expansion of the expressway on both sides, so it'll accommodate both angles. As far as along the rail route, as I mentioned earlier, it's 5.8 miles from the switchyard to the river. That we have 100 feet right away that's required by Union Pacific. We do not have any hike and bike trails along that rail line. As subdivisions come in, we do expect that there will be residential development. So as those subdivision plats come in, we will work. A lot of this is in the city, some of it is in the county, but it will be within the 5-mile ETJ, so we can work, we can coordinate with the city to address those type of issues during the planning process.
Well, Mr. Mayor, I would request that since you're on the MPO, that they bring it up again, because TxDOT is very, very much committed to complete streets models, more so every day, and they do have requirements that they have to meet. And if this is the largest rail relocation project in the country, I think issues like that should be readdressed for the safety of our people.
Did you hear that, Commissioner Villarreal? No, I'm just kidding. No, we thank you. No, we honestly will take a look at it. Thank you very much. Any other comments or questions? Pete, thank you for your presentation. Appreciate it very much.
Thank you.
Melissa,
Employee of the month.
You wanted me to jump to 17 now or later? Or do you wait till
After consent, probably.
Okay. Employee of the month, Charlie?
Mayor, members of the commission, please help me welcome the Employee of the Month for May, a very special young man from our fire department, J.V. Sheldon. J.V. is a 11-year veteran of the fire department, and he is also one of our instructors, and He is training in the Emergency Training Alliance Board of the Rio Grande Valley. He plays an integral part in training a lot of our, or most of our cadets and the cadets in the neighboring cities. He's, in his short time with the department, he has received countless certifications. 10, is that accurate? 10 certifications. And I can read them all. The Advanced Firefighter Skills Examiner, Level 2 Fire Instructor, Fire Inspector, EMS Instructor, Boy Scouts of America, Fire Department Explorer Advisor, Certified Paramedic, Volunteer Firefighter in Los Fresnos, by the way, Rio Grande Valley Firefighters and Fire Marshal Association Instructor, and has received his associate degree in Fire Service Administration from Weatherford College. Reading all these certifications, we want to honor him for his service to our community and his service to our youth. And if you saw a recent story where we had one of our young men taken to the airport to be taken to Vatican recently, Armando Sanchez, who is one of our cadets. He was instrumental in fundraising for the Make-A-Wish Foundation to benefit him as a fire explorer for the travel for his lifelong wish to go to the Vatican. His willingness to spend time with our youth and help with the community efforts is really what he's here for, because we know that he is one of the excellent firefighters that we have, and obviously one of our instructors. But it was a very special accomplishment. He was able to take this young man to the airport along with fellow firefighters and get him on his way to the Vatican, where he should be right now. So God bless Armando Sanchez, our young man that was taken by him. JV, thank you very much for that. And for that and all the other reasons that I gave, he is the Employee of the Month for May. The Employee of the Month plaque for the month of May, a fireproof wristwatch. And a few words from him. He's a good speaker, as he's one of our instructors.
Not really. I was kind of surprised when I was honored with this, but I just want to thank you, Mayor, Commissioners, and all the City of Brownsville for all the opportunities that I've had so far. Hopefully I get plenty more throughout the rest of my career. But thank you.
Thank you, Jay.
Well, you're a great role model. Thank you. Okay. Charlie, are we get now Mr. Bean?
Yes, Brownsville Convention and Visitors Bureau report.
Good afternoon, Mayor, City Commissioner, City Manager, and general public. My name is Mariano Ayala, President and CEO of your Convention and Visitors Bureau, and with me is Mike Collis, Communications Director at the CVB. We're here to give a second quarter report, and I know people are going to say, oh, golly, this guy talks a lot. I'll try to keep it short. But we call it WOW, always a fiesta, and you just heard a WOW. Mr. Sheldon, my hat's off to you. I'm excited about Brownsville. It's, you know, times are still tough. People don't travel like they used to, but you know what? When they come to Brownsville, we hit them with a wow factor, and the wow factor is every person of Brownsville selling our city in a very positive manner. Just like Pastor Moore said, there is hope, and I have a lot of hope that we're headed in the right direction because the people of Brownsville have the right attitude. With that in mind, the Board of Directors of the Brownsville CVB are Mr. Danny Loft, Chairperson, who happens to be in the audience, Mr. Joe Kenny is Vice President, Mr. P.K. Patel, Treasurer, Ms. Rosie Galarza, Rusty Bouchard, Daniel Tejerina, Rebecca Bosma, Rick Armendariz, and Commissioner John Verrial are on the Board of Directors. Our mission statement, the BCVB aims to market Brownsville as a major tourist destination and promote its historical significance, bicultural ambience, beautiful natural flora, wildlife areas, historical and art museums, sports park, zoo, and other area attractions to benefit our hotels and motels, restaurants, attractions, local events, and economy in general. Our approach is we divide it in two major concentration areas, external and internal. By external is what we've done out in the Dallases, the Houstons, in Mexico City when we used to go and what have you. And The past couple of years, we've been told by local community members that we need to start concentrating on internal with the locals. And thus, we started the Brownsville Tourist Ambassador Program. Those are our two areas of concentration. The purpose is overall awareness of Brownsville outside our city, but also within the community. We want to promote the quality of life, nature attractions, ecotourism, our climate, zoo, the beaches, area museum, and other historical significance. We want to encourage tourism. We want to extend visitor stay, increase retail spending, use of our special event center, attraction, the sports park, and other sporting facilities. We want to concentrate on tourism and visitor promotion, efforts to increase hotel and motel tax revenues, because our main goal is heads and beds. Of course, we develop and implement effective advertising campaigns and themes to assist us in our goals. We target our audience. We develop a comprehensive communication approach, which includes external and internal public relations, marketing, and advertising. First thing we look at is how many people come into Brownsville and how many people go by our office. This past quarter, we had 3,500 walk-ins, which according to the Economic Impact of Travel on Texas, Officer of Governor, Texas Economic Development and Tourism, the formula that is used would give us a potential of $1.5 million generated by 3,500 people walking in the last quarter. As compared to last year, we're down 95 people. So we're pretty consistent. And given the fact that we have lost a lot of people from Mexico, I want to have Mr. Mike Collis speak on the website and what have you, because he's the one that has implemented and upgraded our website, which I'm very proud of. You should be very proud of it. www.brownsville.org. We also have a telephone app, and we have data here that's showing that people are going more and more to our webpage. Mr. Collis?
Hello, City Commission. I just wanted to report that we did have an increase in our visitors to our website since we launched it last quarter. We went up 17% in unique page views, which is very good considering the last 3 months have been, something that we've been pushing a lot. We've been promoting our website a lot, also on the Facebook and social networks as well. We also have on Facebook, we've got approaching 400 likes. Again, with the demographics here, we've shown that it keeps consistent. Canada, Mexico being our largest internationally, and nationally here in the United States, Texas obviously is one of our biggest draws. And also locally in McAllen is one of our biggest draws. And you can see the graphs there that reflect that. On Facebook, we recently launched a campaign that generated 7.8 million impressions. We did derive 2,664 clicks to our website through that, and also generated 359 likes in the span of 1 month, which was the time frame that the campaign ran. We also have been promoting our website virally through a service called Add This, which tracks the number of shares that have been done on our website and clicks that have been done on our website. And you can see through the month of January through March, we've increased that as well. So people are visiting our website, they are logging on, and they are sharing the content, which is good. I'd also like to add that our newsletter is going out every Monday. And we have received a lot of subscribers to our newsletter as well. So that's my report.
Thank you, Mr. Collis. When he spoke about the website demographics, we're very consistent. People from within Texas are always coming to our webpage. So we're excited because those are the ones that are probably going to come to Brownsville. This report is we get the vital statistics. This is the taxes that have been collected. Compared to last year, we're down 1.6, which is $7,362, which We don't want to ever be in the negative, but it's a lot better than it has been in the last few years. The sports park, we're concentrating on a lot of sports tournament. People have always asked me, well, you're just a sports fanatic. But what people don't realize that every time we have a tournament, it brings in new money. For instance, if we have a Los Fresnos USSSA State Baseball Qualifier, you have teams from all around the valley and some outside teams, and there's a formula that's used. And with this formula, we counted only the out-of-town teams. Not the ones, and we didn't even count the ones in the valley. These are out of the valley teams, 51. And with the formula that's used, these 51 teams would have an economic impact of 1.1 million. Now, if we were to count there was 451 teams that participated in the second quarter tournaments. And I spoke to Mr. Jason Peter, and he says you can multiply the 400 by 25. So that would be what the teams in the valley would bring. But I decided to just show you the out-of-town visitors. Our highlights is we kicked off the WOW campaign, which is what we're calling a wow factor. The Brownsville citizens are the wow factor, and we're showing people quick facts about Brownsville. That's the Brownsville Tourist Ambassador Program. I have a lot of community involvement. I'll give you a little update as to what I've done. We had the Houston Astros sent 3 baseball players down to Brownsville. They call it the Astro Caravan. We had a event held at Lucio Middle School that was super. We had a bunch of kids, boys and girls, at the sports park that were given one-on-one training, or not one-on-one, but the players were out there with hundreds and hundreds of boys and girls at the sports park. We're working with the city, the Parks and Recreation, the sports park, with a special events trust fund out of the governor's office, the state comptroller's office, to see if we can recoup some funds that we've put together to bring in a tournament, which I'll bring up in a few minutes. And we went ahead and got our 2012 visitors guide that we've been mailing out, and we attend trade shows and what have you. We give them out. The WALK campaign was launched in February, and I want to thank the mayor for being there and a couple of the city commissioners. And I'm not going to go into it, but kind of mention it. Where if you see the banderas on the right, where it says WOW, that was an advertisement that we put in the Texas Monthly. The reason we use the banderas is because we always want to show the people that we will always remember our friends in the South. We have the United States, red, white, and blue, and the green, white, and red for our friends in Mexico. The Brownsville Tourist Ambassadors Program, we just kicked it off. We've had 13 presentations, and it's 128 frontline employees. We're talking about hotel clerks, housekeepers, your chauffeurs to the airport and what have you. And the result has been that these people have picked up on all the things we have to do in Brownsville. Besides, what is there to do in Brownsville? Nothing. The beach, the zoo. Well, now, after going through the ambassador program, the first thing they learn and the last thing they hear is www.brownsville.org. And I tell them, if anything, besides this guy talks a lot, remember www.brownsville.org, because if someone asks you, what is there to do in Brownsville, you can at least say there's so much to do in Brownsville. If you go to www.brownsville.org, you're going to see at least 80 to 85% of all the happenings in Brownsville. And that alone has helped. A story that happened right after one of these trainings, one of the hoteliers is going to present a housekeeper with an award, because the following day after she attended this Brownsville Tourist Ambassador Program, she was heard by her GM being asked by a tourist, what is there to do in Brownsville? And she remembered the Charles Stillman House and the historic complex next to it. And then she said the last battle was fought here in Brownsville in the Civil War. But that lady had to go to brownsville.org. So obviously it worked. It gave me chills to know that it's effective. And if we could get thousands and thousands of people to pass that message, when a visitor comes to Brownsville and they go home, they're going to go, wow, those people have a lot of things to do in Brownsville. You need to get down there. The Astro Caravan, we welcome 3 Houston Astros players to Brownsville. And once again, it was held at the Brownsville Event Center, but we worked together with the sports park. the Brownsville Parks and Recreation, and the Brownsville Independent School District. Community involvement, well, I've helped with the kayak racing. We're trying to really emphasize health in Brownsville. Kayak is something that we see that there's the younger generation, they're into cycling and kayaking, and we want to start promoting those too because they travel, they want to participate in races and what have you. I help with Baile del Sol for Char Days. I help with the Mr. Amigo Association. My group, we also help with the Char Days Grand International Parade on Saturday. I was one of the MCs for the city Char Days Grandstand with Mr. Bill Young and Mr. Charlie Kabler. I also helped at the Sombrero Fest Grito Contest. I forgot to put the Biggest Losers. You know, I just assume everybody knows I help you, Commissioner. I'm sorry. And
more money.
and then next time I'll put a hook for life because I haven't helped enough, but eventually I will. But our advertising highlights, we advertise statewide, nationally, and international publication, Texas Monthly, Midwest Travel, Texas Highway Magazine, USSSA, which is one of the largest. It gives AAU major competition, and we also still advertise in Mexico. And then we do a lot of online advertising. What you see now, these advertisements that we're going to show you has been, this was done by Don Breeden on the upper right-hand corner. We had this in the monthly, Texas Monthly. Go ahead. And these ads were done in-house by Mr. Miguel Collis. We're saving a lot of money, and look at the job he does. The one we send in Mexico, más razones para quedarse en Brownsville, siempre una fiesta. Siempre una fiesta. Wow. And we're excited about this advertising campaign in Mexico, and he's going to be attending a trade show in Mexico, in Guadalajara, next month. Larry Brown and Mr. Michael Jones, they put out that award-winning flight guide, and they allow us to put an ad there, and this also was done in-house. We're going to have the World Hispanic Softball Tournament in October at the Brownsville Sports Park. This is the ad we put in the USSSA. I will be attending a world qualifier this weekend at Texas A&M at College Station. But this is the ad we put in their magazine, More Reasons to Play in Brownsville. This is our official visitor's guide that we send out. Go ahead. I'm not going to, you can read this, the hits through Texas Highway 421, Texas Monthly 451,000, et cetera, et cetera. Go ahead. What we're doing here, we have the More Reasons to Stay poster, we have a website, we have a mobile app, we're promoting Brownsville festivals, and we're also implementing and really going with the Brownsville Tourism Ambassador Program. We've been in the news lately, and when you're in the news, it's good because people see and hear and read about you, and that promotes Brownsville in a very positive way. The thing that we're going to have upcoming in July is the Little Miss Kickball State Tournament. There's 2 hotels that have already told me they're completely sold out, and we expect 70 kickball teams. And then in October, like I said, we have the World Hispanic Softball Tournament. We're hoping to bring in 50 to 70 softball teams with the hopes of growing it next year to 100 teams, and hopefully a third team, 150 to 200 softball teams. Other things that we're looking at is hopefully we can kick it off. It's something in the summer, like a Sandia Festival. I'm speaking to a couple of commissioners, Vasquez and Khalifa, to see if we can come up with another festival. Commissioner, we're also looking at bringing in more cycling events. And any questions?
No, Bean, I don't know whether it's on your website, but I would suggest that the event on May the 19th,
yes.
Please post it on your website.
We will.
And maybe you can have Commissioner Gowan saying a few things. I don't know how all that stuff works, but through the media.
Yes.
About bicycling?
I think you need to have a live face to promote some of these things, and that would be the face of that particular project. And the other project that I think is of utmost importance is Kids Fish.
Yes.
And have Commissioner Zamora come wherever you guys do all your media
Yes,
things.
sir.
And really promote them, because that event right there has gone from a one-day Saturday event to a cook-off and things like that, which
Catfish.
ought to be promoting, and I think that's Memorial Day weekend.
Correct, yes.
So, you have the opportunity to seize the moment and
Yes.
try to get some of these things going. And again, this Building a Better Block has actually got a lot of traction throughout the state of Texas.
Yes, sir.
And there's a lot of folks that are watching what's going on. And so anybody who's thinking about, I can only tell you, I'm talking to several folks about moving down to Brownsville this summer because of their different job situations up the state. And they were very interested in the restoration. So if they go on the website a lot. So
Yes, sir.
I would suggest that you talk to all the commissioners here and see if they have any special interest in promoting anything, or maybe even the awards that we got for that John was talking about. He's
Yes,
one of
sir.
your board of directors. But promote the town along with the face, okay?
Yes, sir.
So that they know that it's just not, it's just not a slogan. It's actually people that are doing this, okay? Thanks.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else?
Good job.
I just want to let everyone know that I serve on, I think, about 7 different boards, and this is one of the most active. We see all the board members out there. We don't just meet once a month and sit around the table. We're actually out there at events, even cleaning up the building. I mean, we know the city's shorthanded, so Larry and the guys have done a lot of the labor themselves. So I just want to congratulate them with, I mean, I know you've had your budget cut and you're still doing a lot.
Well, thank you.
Are these the guys that did the hippie kayak race?
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes.
Yeah. Joe Kenny.
Okay, guys, thank you
Well,
so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay. I'll entertain a motion with regards to the consent agenda items.
Move to approve consent agenda items.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. And I'm going to go to one more item, Estela. Number 6, and then before we get to public hearings, I'd like to do item number 17 out of
Okay.
turn. We have some folks that are from out of town.
You want to go ahead and read number 6? Consideration and action to appoint or reappoint 5 members and 4 alternates to the Board of Adjustments.
Mayor, I'd like to reappoint my appointment, Mr. Joe Wallace Garcia.
Okay, how about I think, were you going to make a full presentation, Evaristo?
It's up to the commission if you want me to.
Well, I mean, there's more than one appointment, if that's correct, and they've all made their applications, and this is a recommendation or not?
Yes, there's 5 regular board members and 4 alternates, and only 4 submitted their applications. One of them does not want to serve anymore, and the other 3, we call them several times, and they never answer our calls, so they never came by the city secretary to fill out their applications.
Well, again, in keeping with our board policy, if we have 4 members, and if you would mention that to the city secretary or for the minutes, the 4 members that did submit their application, and give us your recommendation, if you would.
I do give the recommendation on those 4 applicants for a regular regular members, so they can serve for the next 2 years.
I have a question, Mr. Gomez.
Yes, ma'am.
Actually, 2 concerns. Number 1, I noticed that under the powers and duties in terms of office, it stipulates that they are only allowed 2 two-year terms. Now, we have several members on here who are seeking reappointment, yet I have already served their 3rd 2-year term, 4th 2-year term, and another 3rd 2-year term. Now, I also think that it would be important to know when these appointments come up, and not only goes with this board, Estela, but several of the boards where appointments come up, so that we can avidly seek interested parties, because it's difficult to seek those individuals just a few days prior to a meeting and not be aware of such vacancies. So are we stepping on any ordinance violations with concerns to terms of office? Is this something that's of urgency where we can maybe table and? see
Would you,
colors.
Commissioner, would you consider a motion to table for today and then have a chance to visit all the, I didn't know, I mean, I didn't realize this was coming up until
Right.
Friday. So it really, I didn't get a chance to read all the rules and regulations of your appointments. But if, I would entertain a motion to table.
I move the table.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. Could I, Estella, could I move to item number 17?
Yes.
Move to take 17 out of order.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Item number 17, consideration and action on Resolution 2012-030 in support of a petition by the Texas State Teachers Association urging Governor Perry to call a special session of the legislature to approve $2.5 billion of the rainy day fund to mitigate deep budget cuts to Texas public schools for the 2012-2013 school year.
Commissioner.
Mayor, the petition of our local TSTA union, we had this placed on the agenda. Thank you, Commissioner Tetra, for seconding it. This is a petition to the state for the governor to consider calling a special session. I know that several other organizations have called upon the governor, and of course, it's his sole it's his choice if he wants to call for another session. But this is a petition on behalf of the more than 4,000 strong TSTA union members here in Brownsville, asking him to please consider reopening and to stop the cuts for the following school year.
I think it's a great resolution. Do we have a, I guess, well, this is a action item, so we'd have to have a motion. Motion to approve, a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Motion carries.
Wait, I know we have representatives here. Did they?
What's that now? Is there someone who's going to?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Pat, how are you?
Mayor Martinez, City Commissioners, my name is Patrick Hamas. I'm the President-elect of the Association of Brownsville Educators. As Commissioner Leon indicated, 4,000 members strong in the Brownsville area. I send my apologies, or the apologies of our State President, Rita Haker. She had hoped to be here tonight. She was here last night. She had to fly back to Washington today to try and get funding for our state association through NEA. As Commissioner Longoria indicated, in the last biennium, Governor Perry cut $5.4 billion from public education, of which $23 million was cut from our own local school district, BISD. We as public educators and representing the children of Brownsville want to thank the mayor and the city commission for taking this stand for public education. We have been under attack for the last 2 years. And on April the 20th, the governor came out with this compact where now in the next legislative session he wants to cut education by twice as much. Twice as much. Think of the economic impact that will have on our city if the school district has to cut $46 million from our budget. We are one of the more fortunate districts in the state this time around. We have had no layoffs in Brownsville. Okay. The teachers, there were no raises last year, but we understood no layoffs. Around the state, approximately 300 school districts have requested waivers on the 22-to-1 class ratio for K through 4, affecting 8,000 students statewide. 8,000 students who are now being packed into more crowded classrooms, not getting the direct instruction they should, all because the governor does not believe or does not support public education. At the same time, around the state, 9,000 plus teachers have lost their jobs. 9,000 teachers. That's not the sad fact. 40,000 plus support personnel, bus drivers, custodians, food service, and instructional paraprofessionals, clerks have lost their jobs statewide. If the governor doubles this cut, what does this do to the economy of the state of Texas? And what does this do to the future of the education of the state of Texas? And we thank you so much. You're one of 40 plus cities now that have signed this resolution and saying, not just stop the cuts, restore the money to public education. There's $8 billion in the rainy day fund now. $8 billion. The governor cut 5.4. He can easily restore the money and still have money left over for other catastrophic situations. If this is not a catastrophe, we don't know what is. Again, we want to thank you very, very much for signing this resolution. Special thanks to Commissioner Longoria, who teaches 2 doors up from me at Oliveta Middle School. Special thanks to Ms. Zamora, Melissa Zamora, for also being an enthusiastic supporter, and thanks to all of you, for supporting the children of Brownsville, the educators of Brownsville, and public education. We thank you.
Thank you, Pat.
Thank you.
Okay.
Item 7, public hearing and action on first reading of ordinance number 235-2012-002-CO to rezone from a dwelling A classification to medium retail G for 1.29 acres of Block 55 of Acacia Lake Garden subdivision located at 2413 East Avenue.
Honorable Mayor and City Commission, the applicant in this case would like to have a retail operation right at the corner there of East University Boulevard now and close to the intersection of Impala Drive. The Planning and Zoning Commission voted unanimously to approve this application, recommended to you for approval. This is a public hearing.
Would it close?
Do I hear a second?
Second.
All those in favor of closing public hearing?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Would you approve?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Motion carries.
Thank you.
Item 8, public hearing and action on first reading of ordinance number 235-2012-008-S to allow apartments in a dwelling classification for 1.57 acres out of Block 59 of Acacia Lake Garden subdivision located near Impala Avenue and Impala Court.
Honorable Mayor and City Commissioners, the applicant would like to have 8 apartment units on this property. The Planning and Zoning Commission voted unanimously to approve this application to you. This is a public hearing.
Would it close?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Motion to close public hearing passes.
Would it approve?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Motion carries.
Mayor, just a quick note, Soto's lived there for forever. They're great people. You know, it's close to the PUB plant, and people always say, well, you know, that there's no stench, there's no anything. It's just weird how everything is built, but it falls. There's no smell, there's no anything. So it's but they've been great people there, and they've been there for years, and it should be a great project.
And PUB, I think, has done some studies and has been really working diligently to on that odor factor throughout the city. So, thank you. Number 9.
Item 9, public hearing and action on first reading of ordinance number 235-2012-0011 to rezone from light industrial J to dwelling G classification to light industrial G for 1.52 acres out of Block N of Brownsville Land Improvement Company subdivision located at 4604 North Expressway 83.
Honorable Mayor and City Commissioners, the applicant would like to have a warehouse on this property shaded in red. The Planning and Zoning Commission voted unanimously to approve this application to you. This is a public hearing.
Any comments? Do I hear a motion to close public hearing?
Motion. Second.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Motion carries. Action?
Move to approve. Second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Motion carries.
Item 10, public hearing and action on first reading of ordinance number 235-2012-012-S to allow a party place on a general retail classification on .30 acres out of Paredes partition of Share 19 located near Boca Chica Boulevard and Kings Highway.
Honorable Mayor and City Commissioners, this is a specific use for a party place. This is an existing building on Boca Chica. The applicant would like to have a party place with hours of operation between 10 and 4 p.m. This is for children's birthday parties. The Planning and Zoning Commission voted unanimously to approve this application.
Motion to approve, or motion to close public hearing.
Second.
Sorry.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Motion,
Motion to approve, second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Item 11, public hearing and action on first reading of ordinance number 235-2012-014-S to allow apartments on a light retail F classification for 7.83 acres out of Block 19 of El Jardín subdivision located near Old Port Isabel Road and FM 802.
Honorable Mayor, City Commissioners, the applicant would like to have some apartments in the area shaded in red. The Plan and Zoning Board unanimously to approve this application. The applicant was very supportive and worked with staff, and it is a big area to make sure that the apartments met our site review requirements and made modifications to that. So we're very happy that he was cooperative with us.
Would it close public hearing?
second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Item 12, public hearing and action on first reading of ordinance number 235-2012-015-S to allow a duplex on a dwelling Z classification for Lot 2 of Block 107 of original town site of Olmito, located near Old Highway 77 and Hargill Street.
Honorable Mayors and City Commissioners, this is a proposed duplex in the Olmito area. The Plan and Zoning Commission voted unanimously to approve this application to you. To the public hearing.
Any comments? Entertain a motion.
Move to close?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Action item.
Move to approve.
I'm sorry, it was just in action, I'm so sorry. Move to approve.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Item 13, public hearing and action to authorize the City of Brownsville Police Department to apply for fiscal year 2012 Edward Byrne Memorial Justice Assistance Grant Program in the amount of $64,550.
Mayor, City Commission, I'm James Pascal, Commander with the Brownsville Police Department. This is a public hearing action item to allow the Brownsville Police Department to apply for a federal grant in the amount of $64,550. This is a joint application with Cameron County. The split will be, if approved, by you and initially by the feds, it will be $42,044 for the Brownsville Police Department and $22,511 for Cameron County. We'll be using our money to augment our patrol rifle program.
Would you approve?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Motion carries.
Thank you, man.
Thank you.
Public comment? I think
Public comment, we have one person.
Okay. Item number 15, Estella, I'd like to entertain a motion to table. This is the sister city agreement that was supposed to be presented for the cena on the bridge, or the dinner on the bridge, and they're still working on that. So,
Motion to table.
Second.
all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Item 16,
Okay, I think that's Gil. Is that, are you the man of the hour?
Item 16, consideration and action to adopt resolution number 2012-023 in support of Space Exploration Technologies, Inc., also known as SpaceX, developing a commercial launch site in the area of Brownsville, Texas.
And what would Gil do without that pencil?
Good observation. Well, thank you, Mayor and members of the City Commission, for having us here, giving us the opportunity to present the project. As you can see, this is what's project, a little project by the name of SpaceX, Space Exploration Technologies. We've been working with them for about a year now. It's paramount in its implications. It's what we call in the industry a game changer. So what you see here is a rocket that will be getting launched into space. This is at their site in Cape Canaveral. This is it's close to 200 feet. It's about 180 foot long rocket. So that's what we would be looking at for this area. Before I get into the nuts and bolts of the actual presentation, I want to go through some of the terminology that's used. There's been a lot of talk about this project, a lot of hype, a lot of, no pun intended, a lot of buzz. But there has not been too many inaccuracies, but there has been a few words that have been swapped around, and one of them is spaceport. A spaceport is a site that's capable of launching a spacecraft, and this spacecraft in particular is pretty much a jet with wings, and it would launch horizontally, and this would be at an airport pretty much with an extended runway, and it would have to do a complete orbit before it would actually crack the atmosphere and get into space. So that's really what a spaceport is. There's not that there are a dime a dozen, but there's quite a few of them out there in the United States. A space station, this is the International Space Station. This is where several countries dock off and deliver their astronauts. A rocket launch site, that's where, that's an area with launch pads with a large safety buffer zone, and these are used purely for suborbital flights. This is for the big boys. These are the huge rockets. This is a space shuttle. So they take off vertically, they crack the atmosphere before they take one lap around the globe, and then they get into space. So a launch command center, that's Houston, the Houston Command Center, there's one that controls all of them here in the United States for the launch sites. And there's a spaceport, a launch complex. That's an area with several launch sites and spaceports all in one, and the biggest one being Cape Canaveral. Rockets most easily will reach suborbit, that is before they take one entire lap around the Earth. They'll most easily reach it when they're closer to the equator. So as you can see, you can kind of see now how Brownsville is starting to favor this project. The closer you are to the equator, the faster, the quicker you can get into space. You have to go in an easterly direction, and what they're using when they're launching off of Virginia and Florida, they're using the Earth's rotational speed, kind of like a slingshot. So that helps them boost and get into space quicker and faster using less fuel. Rocket launches, they need to be built far away from a populated area. They need to be close to a major body of water. And right now, they're all currently on military sites. There's only 4 entities that have conducted suborbital space flights and actually retrieved the capsule. That's the United States, Russia, China, and Mr. Elon Musk, who's the founder, owner of SpaceX Technologies. Private spaceports, there's quite a few of them here in the U.S. There's one in Alaska, there's one in West Texas, and by all means, I did not know anything about the aerospace industry when I first started working this project, but I have fully immersed myself in it. I'm not an expert, but I know a thing or two. There's one out in West Texas, there's a Corn Ranch spaceport. And keep in mind, these are spaceports. They're basically airports with extended runways. They take off horizontally. Out of all of these, the one that is brand new, that was actually built from scratch, is the one in New Mexico. That's Spaceport America. The owner is Richard Branson, the multi-billionaire who's owner of Virgin Records. In this case, he has Virgin Galactic. That's a picture of his actual site in New Mexico. Quick little anecdote. This project was actually envisioned for El Paso, Texas. And something happened along the lines that I guess they were not vocal enough, or maybe perhaps they took it for granted that they were going to get this project. Little town, 50 miles away from New Mexico, 20,000 people. They were the ones that were very, very loud, very supportive of the project, hence they got the project. So we'll just keep that in mind going forward. And now Houston is jumping into the space race again with the Arlington Airport. They want to build a spaceport there. U.S. launch sites, there are 4 in the United States. There's 4 states that do this right now. There's Southern Florida, Virginia, then there's Southern California and Alaska. The difference between those on the West Coast and the East Coast is that those on the West Coast, they do the polar orbits, that is north and south. The ones on the East Coast are taking advantage of the slingshot theory, getting quicker to the equator. That's where Brownsville would come in. Houston is command center for all of them. There are no private launch sites at this moment. They're all built on military sites. Willacy County, this is what they were doing about 12, 13 years ago. This is a picture of a 10-foot, 200-plus pound rocket. That's not the picture of the ones that were actually launched here, but it's similar to that one. As you can see, there's mountains there. There's no mountains here. But long story short, thanks to what Willacy was trying to do a dozen years ago or so, they built this consortium of several South Texas counties. The mentality was to build it and they will come. So they were somewhat ahead of the game back in the day. Another question that we get frequently asked is, are we going to be launching the space shuttle from here? And the answer is no, because it was retired last year. Beyond that, SpaceX does not fly space shuttles, and we would have the capacity to do that, but unless NASA would allow us to fly astronauts into space, we're not going to be doing that from here. We are going to have the rockets with cargo, satellites, and different payloads. From here, we're looking at the Falcon 9, which is a rocket with 9 engines launching from this area 10 times a year. And then the Falcon Heavy, that would be 2 launches a year from here, from this area. That would put us at about 12, pretty much 1 a month. SpaceX, just a quick overview on Elon Musk. He is the co-founder of PayPal. He made his money, about 10 years ago with PayPal, sold it to Yahoo. And he is also the owner and president and CEO of Tesla Motors. That's the electric sports car. He's also the owner and founder, actually, of Solar City. So he manufactures solar panels and distributes them throughout the United States. And he's also the inspiration for Tony Stark, who's the man behind Iron Man. He became good friends with the director of the film, and they used him as a model, as the inspiration for the man behind Iron Man. It's very interesting. He's got a cameo. His sports cars come out in the movie. He has the SpaceX, which is the first commercial company to re-enter his spacecraft from Earth into orbit. And the key here is he has secured $3 billion in launch business, which puts him at about 40-plus launch missions today. So he's got to get up and running and launch these. He's going to be launching one on May 7th, actually on Monday. So he's booked with business. So this is the opposite of build it and they will come. He's got the business. He needs to get it built pretty quick. He's got a contract with the U.S. government, NASA, as well as several domestic and international customers and governments. Headquarters, that's in Hawthorne, California. That's where they have, he's got his office and his manufacturing facility. What's interesting is from one end you have steel coming in, and from the other you've got rockets coming out. We've been fortunate enough to meet with him 3 times already, twice at his facility, and it's a very, very impressive operation that he has there. Launch sites, he has one in Cape Canaveral, Florida, and he's currently finishing one up in Vandenberg, California. That one would be obviously for polar orbits. He's got a research center and a test site in McGregor, Texas. That's just, it's about 20 miles west of Waco. Other offices, he's got his general counsel in Washington, D.C., and then offices in Houston and Huntsville, Alabama, obviously staying close to the NASA offices. Right now, he's actually upward of 1,800 employees in all of his operations. And by this summer, he's going to be at about 2,000 employees. This is a 10-year-old company, so they're definitely in a super growth mode. When we first met with the company a little over a year ago, we found that the Texas Aerospace Commission, and we found this out through SpaceX, that South Texas its location could rival that of Cape Canaveral. We're the southernmost point in the continental United States. We would obviously be flying over a unpopulated area through the Gulf of Mexico. The trajectory path, which is interesting, if you were to locate anywhere between here and Clayburgh County in the King Ranch, you would hit the CONUS, which is the continental United States, and Cuba. And that's just perfect for what they need to do. Low population density, and what they like about, perhaps if they were to do business here in the area, is that it would supplement their supply chain and logistics. So they would build it in California, they would test it in Waco, and then truck it down to Brownsville, Texas, where it would have final assembly, and then it would get launched into space. This is just a slide that shows the former facilities that used to use, and they're still in use today. That's like a 15-story high structure that was used for the space shuttle back in the days. It served its purpose back then. Today, we don't need that. They don't need that, at least. So they run a much leaner operation. The footprint would actually be 5 acres. They just need that buffer zone. They need a 2-mile radius of a whole lot of nothing, which we have here in their proposed site. And the fuel that they would be using is kerosene and liquid oxygen, different from what the space shuttle and some of the other rockets used to use. This is basically what you use in your campfires. Here's a cross-section of some of the rockets that they've launched in the past. That's the F-9 Dragon, the Falcon 9. That one's going to get launched May 9th, and that's going to be, they're going to connect to the International Space Station. They're going to make space history by being the first private company to do so. At the end of this year, I think this one's already assembled as a F-9. It's a Falcon Heavy, and these are some of the ones that would actually be launched from this area. The Falcon 9 has 9 rocket engines. The Falcon Heavy has 27 rocket engines, which would put it a little faster than the Space Shuttle. Space Shuttle being the fastest of its kind in the world. And then the 2013, they would have the Dragon crew, which would actually take astronauts into space. That would not be envisioned here in this area. Here you can see the yellow push pin. This is where you would have the proposed site. It's pretty much right before you get to the beach, right behind the dunes off of Highway 4. No major infrastructure is needed because it's a state highway. You have to keep in mind that he's got a solar panel manufacturing facility, so he's going to bank on that for some of his power needs. Water needs, not a lot of water needs. They need gray water for whenever they're going to launch a rocket. And then there's a red push pin that shows the location. Well, anywhere between that push pin and to the yellow push pin is where you would have their actual launch command center. Here's another overview of what would be their actual proposed site. And then this is just a visual as to what they have in Cape Canaveral. The one in Brownsville, if it would come to fruition, would look very similar to this one. The tallest structures you would have out there are these lightning rods. Florida actually has the highest lightning strikes per square mile in the world, I believe. So they need 4 of those. We would need probably a couple of those at the most, I think. That bulb that you see there, that's for the kerosene. Then you'll have a couple of hangars out there, one for the final assembly of the rocket and the other one for office space and equipment as well. So why Brownsville? We were one of 10 sites originally considered in the 1950s by NASA. So I found that very interesting, how life has kind of come back in full circle, and here we are again competing for this project. That's a picture of the Falcon 9. We're the southernmost city in the U.S. We're right next to the Gulf of Mexico. So once you start to piece everything together, you know, I wish I could say that it was us, our strategic plan that got us out there, and we met with this company and we convinced them to get down here. It's actually purely site-driven. They found us by way of the governor's office, which we have a great relationship with. And we were one of more than a dozen sites being considered in South Texas. But when it all was said and done, our community did a fantastic job of meeting with this company and really just showing them who we are, which we're just common, practical Texas people here. And they really like that about visiting here in Texas, which is why I put on there, we're Texas. They love doing business here in the state. Right now they're in California, they also do business in Florida, and they also do business in Texas, and they like it here. This is just a quick chronology of when we first got the call from the governor's office in regards to the project. And within a couple of weeks, we already had a meeting with Elon Musk. And he gave us 2 hours of his time to really sit down and talk about the project. And that's when it really hit us that this is for real. Moving forward, we have, they are going now through their environmental impact study. They're going to have a hearing May 15th. They're going to have the first of 2, maybe 3 public scoping meetings. It's going to be at the ITech campus. It's going to be from 5 to 8 o'clock. 5 to 6 is going to be in, they're going to have some exhibits. The company will be here. They'll be on hand to answer questions, to meet with people one-on-one, to address any concerns that they have. And then from 6 to 8 o'clock, we're going to have the public comment period. And that's where we're going to have an opportunity to come out and support the project, you know, show them who we really are, which is Brownsville. Brownsville really believing in Brownsville, and that's what this project has done, has really united a lot of the different entities and people in town. But please keep in mind that Florida and Puerto Rico are still viable options. Those were one of 3 sites that are being considered right now. Florida, being Florida, is not going to give up easily. This is what they do, and they're not about to lose it to Texas. And Puerto Rico has already been extremely aggressive in trying to recruit this project. They've put together a very good plan for them, but logistically, I think our site still makes sense. However, we still have a long way to go. We still have about another year before a decision would be made. We're looking at about $80 million in capital investment, 600 direct jobs. We're looking at about $55,000 minimum annual salary. This would put us at more than $50 million in direct annual salary into our region, really into our city. This is money from the heavens. This is money that we did not have. This is money that's going to go a long way for our region, and this is just one company. They would be paying 80% above county average wages. Then you would add another 400 indirect and induced jobs. That would put us at about $71 million per year in economic impact here in the Brownsville area. Now, when they launch from Cape Canaveral, they attract about 40,000 visitors for every launch. We're not going to get 40,000 visitors. But after we did some number crunching, we found we're going to get between 7,000 and 10,000 visitors. We'll take that any day. And I can bet you that the hotels are going to be booked. Port Isabel, South Padre Island, the entire region is going to benefit tremendously from this, to come and see these launches on a monthly basis. So beyond the numbers, we're looking at internship opportunities, Space Visitor Center, museums, new curriculums for the schools, college programs and partnerships. We've already met with a lot of environmental groups that perhaps have been concerned or had some concerns with the project. And a lot of them have already come out in full support and said, if you're able to mitigate certain risks, such as the sea turtles out on Boca Chica Beach or the piping plover, you know, everybody seems to be in full support of the project, and I don't see why not. I mean, this is the one. This is not the one project we were waiting for. This is the opportunity we were waiting for, to go out there and show our support. So just in a nutshell, some numbers to keep in mind. He's got $3 billion in launch contracts, $50 million in annual salaries, money from the heavens, as I like to call it, upward of 10,000 visitors per month. But we are at a sensitive and a critical point right now, and this is an extremely young company, and they're very good, obviously, at what they do. That being said, they have totally immersed themselves in this community. They pay attention to everything and what everybody says in this community. May 15th is a public scoping hearing, and there's the email address for people to email their support on the project. And if anything, if this hasn't convinced you that this is a great project, when the LA Times was the first one, in addition to Space News and the Brownsville Herald, when they broke the story, this person called me up, and as soon as I answered the phone, he said, you know, I'll tell you something. You know, I did not know where Brownsville, Texas is. Now I do, and I'm pretty sure everybody's trying to figure that out right now. So we would literally, figuratively, get on the map nationally and internationally.
I'm sure that'll be in Bean's report next quarter.
Exactly, yeah. So I would also, you know, ask everybody to do their due diligence on the company. Log onto their website, see what you can find. You will be surprised that you're not going to find much negativity on this company, because they are who they are, that they say. Elon Musk was on 60 Minutes last month. A great interview on 60 Minutes. And this 60 Minutes, they don't have to be nice. They don't play nice, actually. But they had a great piece on this individual. He was on the Jon Stewart Show. He's been on David Letterman. Spectacular individual. And he has said that he wants to come into a community where he knows he's going to make a difference, but that he knows that he's also wanted. With that, I'm available for questions.
Gil, you know, it's apparent you have studied this subject. Great presentation. Thank you so much.
Been a lot of work, yes.
Thank you. Commissioners?
I have a question. I cannot
Yes, ma'am.
go to Walmart, the mall, the gas station without being asked this question. What can we do? What can I do to show them that I am supporting them coming to Brownsville?
Be available May 15th. Use this knowledge to the best that you can to tell people, here are the facts, here's the project. Just show your support and ask people, really, I think, put it on them. This is Brownsville. This is Brownsville's project. This is Brownsville. This is for us to lose as a community. We've already done our part. I think you all have already done your part, since you have already met with the company, as well as more than 250 community and business leaders. Now it's up to the community to come out and say, you know what, we believe in Brownsville. We're not gonna doubt ourselves anymore. We're gonna go after this project.
What time is what time did you say?
It's May
it
the
was on?
15th.
May 15th, 5 o'clock. The
5
company
o'clock
will
at
be
the-
here, and they would welcome the opportunity.
It's going to be at the iTech building, and I would reach out to every member of this community. We have, you know, an opportunity, and I will commend the Economic Development Group, Jason, who's sitting back there, and Gil, your whole staff. These guys have worked really hard. I've worked with them, but they've done all the laboring ore on this one. So, commissioners, now it's your turn to get your constituencies out on May the 15th at 5 o'clock. Pastor Brad?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
You know, we'll talk to Estella, because it's an extremely important meeting. They want to know that they're wanted in this community, and we want them to know that they are wanted in this community. It's one of those win-win situations for everyone. It'll be one heck of an economic impact. And as we all know, success begets success. So you get one rolling, and things come your way after that. So I urge everyone to please be supportive. As you all well know, I'm a big environmentalist. Some say I'm a tree hugger. But I have done my due diligence, and the type of you know, fuel that is being used here is not going to be detrimental to the environment. It's a good project, and again, do as Gil says. If you have to do your own due diligence, I have, please do so. I think we have a resolution on that, and we needed a motion.
Motion to approve adopt the resolution.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
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 Okay, you be sure and tell PayPal to
Lower their fees.
to tell them that it was unanimous, okay?
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Item 18, consideration and action to acknowledge the city's comprehensive annual financial report and single audit report for fiscal year ended September 30th, 2011.
Okay, Pete, is this the horse and pony show? Is it Carlos Barrera?
Honorable Mayor, members of the City Commission, Mr. Carlos Barrera, partner with Long Chilton, will make the presentation.
Good evening, Carlos.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the Commission. You've heard some great news, very exciting news for Brownsville. You've heard from Bean, getting everybody all worked up. Now it's my time. Now I got to bring you down to earth a little bit. And I've got some good news, got some precautionary news that I'm going to was going to start out by saying the next 2 hours I'm going to go through this 298-page report, but I'm not going to do that.
You know, can you get it on tape?
No, it's going to be quick, and because I know this is really deep. And but let me just kind of give you a very brief synopsis of what all this means. This is the CAFR, what we call the Comprehensive Annual Financial Report. It's submitted to GFOA, the Governmental Financial Officers Association, and you get a certificate every year if it meets certain qualifications of, in effect, excellence in reporting. Only auditors and accountants can really get excited about this. I mean, this is like our Emmy, if you want to call it that. But the city has gotten the GFOA certificate, I think, for over, what, 27 years? 34 years. 34 years. and I was a mere child. And that's a fairly long time because I don't think there's very many, in fact, I know there's not that many municipalities in the state of Texas that have gone that far. Very, very few, but Brownsville is one of them. And what bodes well for that is not only the city, but the county does it, the PUB has it now, and tomorrow I'm going to present the CAFR that's going to go to GFOA for the Brownsville Navigation District, which was going to be the first time that's happened. So you have 4 very large entities in this area that have risen to that level and has followed the lead of the city over all these years, and I think that bodes very well with respect to how we treat and how responsible we are and how you are as far as fiduciaries of the public's funds. Very briefly, there's an introductory section which you can read, then there's the financial section, and I'm going to hit the financial section very, very fast. The financial section on page 17 is our opinion, and our opinion on the financial statements as a whole. And basically, if you look on that last paragraph on that one page 17, it just says that our opinion based upon our audit, that in effect the financial statements are in effect clearly presented, fairly stated, in a manner consistent with year after year in accordance with standards of the United States of America. That's a clean opinion, what's also called an unqualified opinion. I don't think I've ever seen the city, and I certainly have never issued one to the city of Brownsville for a qualified opinion. So again, clean, and it's excellent. After that, there's something called the management discussion and analysis, which starts on page 21 and keeps going. And so let me just give you a couple of highlights very quickly. On page 33, you'll see all your fund balances at the end of the year. You have about 35 funds that you work with. 2 we call major funds. Obviously the big one's the general fund, and that's the first one on the top. And then you see that in the general fund, you'll see a total fund balance of $16,675,000. You see 2 other components of that fund. It was something called non-spendable, restricted, committed, and assigned. Basically means you can't touch it. The unassigned is $11.8 million. And then all the ones below that, which are the non-major funds, most of those are restricted funds. So you can't touch those either. Flipping the page, you'll see on page 34 a historical perspective of where that fund balance has been over the last 11 years. And you see, and you keep in mind, look only at the unreserved fund balance, $11.8 million. It's at a level it was in 2004. Now, that's the precautionary issue I'm talking about here, is because you have some other issues out there pending that could, in effect, make some cuts into that fund balance. It could set it back to levels that you probably haven't seen in over 11 years. So while the city has marched through a fairly tough economic time and has managed to do fairly well with it, caution is the word of the game here. Watch your fund balance because it can very quickly eradicate. The city 11 years ago was not the size it is now. And so that's where I'm coming from as your auditor, saying, make sure you're watching that, and make sure if you can, and if you can at all possible, improve it to your benefit. If you look on page 35, you'll see the unassigned fund balances, and you look at it from the standpoint of percentages in relation to revenues and transfers in and expenditures and transfers in. You all have a policy that you've adopted, that number right now that's sitting between 12.47 and 12.59 should be at 17%. That's your target, so you're below it going forward. So there's my cautionary tale. The flipping of or the next page, page 36, gives you the fund balance. I'm only talking about general fund today because, I mean, we could talk all day on the rest of the funds, but the general fund, this gives you a comparison year to year with respect to what came through. You can see the fiscal year 2010 and 11. Your major increases have been in your property taxes, $373,000, sales taxes about $1 million. You also have some in fees and services, about another $1.9 million. Overall, about $4 million additional revenues came into the city during that period of time, which is good. Your expenditures, unfortunately, kind of stepped right along with that, about another $3.6 million to match that $4 million. So overall, you did better, about $383,000 better, with respect to your excess of revenues over expenditures. Keep in mind, though, in the general fund, you have transfers coming in from funds. You've got transfers going out to other funds. And that's what all the rest of that other financing sources look like. So overall, the fund balance reduced by about $866,000. You'll see a prior period adjustment there of $2.4 million. I'm not going to go into the details of how Governmental Accounting Standards Board number 54 operates, but this is a pronouncement that had to do with changing your fund balances and reclassifying things that were in other funds. As a result, by this reclassification, we added $2.4 million to the fund. So at the end, that's the 16.675 in general fund that you have. But keep in mind, only 11 of that is unrestricted. The other issue I want to talk, and a couple other, just real quick, on page 50, you'll see your long-term debt, all your long-term liabilities. You'll see your long-term bonds payable, both in the certificates of obligation as well as notes payable, et cetera, and that all ties back to your balance sheet. I don't think I need to go through that. And the next page, 52, is how you did with your budget. Your actual revenues received versus how much your original budget was during the year. And in some cases, for example, on the revenues, your total revenues were actually over budget, pretty nice, but so were your expenses. So again, this is just for your information on how to read these. Again, the management discussion analysis is really a good summary of all the rest of the pages in here. But if you really want to get detailed, there are obviously some other schedules that you can go to. And I just want to go through one. If you go to look at page 58 and 59, 58 and 59 is what we call the statement of activities. We call this a governmental-wide statement of income. Several years back, the GFOA and GASB decided that people didn't understand fund accounting. And to this day, a lot of people don't understand fund accounting. I was on boards before, and trying to understand how funds work were pretty complex. So what they did is they tried to make it more like a for-profit business. So for those of you as commissioners, they said, look, if you took all of the assets and all of the revenues and all the expenses of your entity and looked at it as if it was your private company, how's it look? You know, how do you operate this thing? So what this does, it's supposed to tell the reader a little bit better, I guess, from the standpoint of how the snapshot looks like from the city at the time. This is your statement of activities, what we used to call the income statement. And so the way it starts is on that far left column where you see expenses. And I'm only going to talk about the primary government, which is you. The component units would be PUB, et cetera, et cetera. If you look at the expenses, it says, look, in the governmental activities, I've got general government, I've got public safety, public works, sanitation, et cetera. All of that combined, we have to spend $130 million to provide those services and those expenditures into the city of Brownsville. How do we pay for that? You go to the next column. These were the program revenues. Well, we know that $38 million will come out of charges for services, and you can see it by the different categories of what it affects. You also are going to get operating grants and contributions from governments. That's the $26 million. So at the end of the day, you're still $65 million short. That's on that page 59. Now, you also have business type activities. Okay, that's the airport, the public transit, park and revenue, et cetera. Those are a little different. Those are different types of funds. So now we look at that and say, well, to provide that, we need $16 million, and we get about $5 million from services, $6 million from grants, and capital contributions, another 12. But lo and behold, though, that actually produces $8 million of excess. Well, we can use that $8 million to offset the $65 million. So now in the middle, we're still short $57,268,000. Now where are we going to get that from? We'll look below, and you can see. It'll start coming from property taxes, sales taxes, all the way through, and you can see that one total column all the way down. You'll see sales property taxes of 35, Sales taxes of 24, and you can see all the way down. $60 million came in. Okay, that gave you overall about a $3.3 million excess of revenues over the expenditures that you spent. That's the entire city. And that's what this was supposed to do, and hopefully, to a certain extent, it's supposed to help those in governance, like yourselves, understand, in effect, how all this works. And I could speak here for hours on this. I mean, I could teach it, but the problem is it's pretty confusing because there's more to it. There's also a balance sheet, which I'm not going to go through, but that's also citywide. But again, that's how it works. And then, of course, if you want it, then you can go get further. Then you can look at, let me just tell you real quick. If you just want to go to proprietary funds or whatever, further down you'll have the statement of activities for every fund, individual, all the way through there. And then followed by the notes, and then followed by statistical information, which is a lot of times it's about 10 years old. It goes back 10 years, which is, you know, bond councils and people looking to invest in Brownsville. This is what they're looking at. We also did an audit. Of course, when we do these audits, we also, oh, one thing, real quick. We're talking about funds and fund balances. Look at page 129. When we talked about the general fund itself, and we talked about, well, what makes up, you know, all the rest of these weird-looking descriptions for restricted or non-spendable or committed funds, you can see every single project and fund name and what the amounts were and how much you have in general fund that are in effect earmarked for that particular project. And of course, you'll see your 11.8 million over here under the undersigned complete. So there's your breakdown. The other thing we do as auditors is we do a single audit. And in the single audit, basically, we do compliance work. You know, we look at federal funds, state funds, et cetera. Overall, we only had one comment, and it was really the only reason we had the comment was because it was an overlap from the prior year. We had the same comment last year. It was on that weatherization issue, and because it didn't get rectified until about the middle of our audit in the subsequent year, we had to put it in. But from what I understand, it has been rectified. Other than that, it's pretty clean. And I think that's it. So I think I did pretty fast from that standpoint. Anyway, if you have any questions, I'd be more than glad to answer them. Good. Thank you all very much.
Appreciate it.
Acknowledgement. Will there be an acknowledgement for this last item?
Motion to acknowledge.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Item 19, consideration and action to acknowledge Deputy City Manager, CFO's financial statement and cash investment report for the City of Brownsville's second quarter ended on May 31st, 2012.
Honorable Mayor, members of the City Commission, these are the quarterly reports for the period ended March 31st, 2012. There is a yellow binder that's with you. It has a memo that summarizes part of what I'm going to be presenting to you tonight. This includes all the funds that the city has, including all the capital projects. But I do have a PowerPoint presentation that I can explain it a lot better if we go through it. These are some of the highlights for the 6 months that just ended on March 31st of this calendar year. The 6-month receipts from the Veterans Bridge are surpassing last year's totals. We estimate that if the trend continues between now and September, that we will have an increase of about 1.35%, or about $325,000 more. The Veterans Bridge is seeing quite a bit of activity from the traffic that's coming from the Port of Brownsville. And now this increase is after a 4-year decline. Building permits continue to remain weak after a strong first quarter. Sales taxes are exceeding last fiscal year's numbers by 2.91% and are about 1.35% above budget projections. So this is positive news for us. Unemployment rate is something that we looked at as an economic indicator for this area. The unemployment rate for March or through March of this year is 11.3%. We had 12.5 in 2011, so the unemployment rate is slowly declining. As far as property taxes, 88.58% of the tax levy has been collected. This compares to 87.72% for the same period last fiscal year. Utility expenditures are 2% higher, and one of the reasons that they're higher is that we added the Parks Recreation Center. It's now open all day, and of course we have a new bus terminal that just opened. Hotel motel tax, what we show here is an increase based on the numbers that we show, and the reason why there's an increase is because there were some hotels that were delinquent in paying some of their taxes from previous months that they've slowly caught up. We have the internal auditor as well the legal department writing letters to some of these hotels that were previously delinquent, and that's the reason why we see an increase. This gives you a sales tax. This just compares what we had last fiscal year through March. We were averaging at 3.64%. What are we doing this year? We're up 2.91%. So we're slowly, our sales tax is slowly coming up based on from previous years. And this chart indicates a history of the sales tax. As you can see, 2008 was our best year. I believe that come 2013, we will be able to surpass the 2008 numbers. So if you look at that, it'll take about a 4 or 5 year catch up, but hopefully by 2013 we will exceed the 2008 numbers. This is the bridge fund. This is what it was last year through March. We were down 29.36%. This is what's happening this fiscal year. We're up 24.24%. Again, we're comparing last year with this year. And again, the veterans, these are payments that come in from Cameron County to us for the Veterans Bridge. We had a very good year in 2006, and then we started seeing declines, and slowly now from 2011, we're starting to see an increase in this particular area. Building permits, we had a strong last year we were averaging 9.03%. This particular 6 months, we're down almost 24%. And again, this is a chart of the building permits. Again, 2008 was our strongest year. We're slowly, hopefully, coming up from that 2008 number. These are the cash transfers from the Brownsville PUB. It shows the 2011 and the 2012. There is an increase of cash transfers for the 6-month period of $254,628. Unemployment rates, again, at 2011 we saw a 12.3. So far, 2012 through March, the average is 11.3. But as you can see, we had on 6, 7, and 8, and actually 5, 6, 7, and 8, we had single-digit unemployment. General fund balance. This particular chart shows the total fund balance in 2011 of 16.6. But on the next chart, I'll explain what that really true number is. And this is something that was presented earlier. Yeah, we see a 2011 16,675,070, but in reality, if you look at all the adjustments that are all the commitments that were there at the end of 2011, the actual fund balance was 11,872,871. Percentage-wise, we're at 12.6. There was a resolution that was approved by the City Commission on November of 2011, whereby the resolution called for a 15% reserve. So we're at the end of the year, we were below that 15%. I know Mr. Barrera mentioned 17, but the number that was approved by the City Commission was 15. And then we have again 16,675,000. That's what our books show, but in reality, the true unassigned fund balance is 11,872,871. So if you look at that number, we actually had a decrease between 2011 and 2010 by $880,000. This is just the explanation of the components of fund balance. There's the non-spendable, the restricted, committed, and unassigned. And I'm not going to go into it, but there are some. This is something that's in the audit report that Mr. Barrera went over with you. Some of the areas. One of the areas that I'd probably like to that we want to look at would be the. Let's see, where is it? 234, plastic ordinance fee, 317,423. When we look at the March numbers, you'll see an increase, and I'll cover that as we go along. This is again, this is just again to show the fund balance at the end of the fiscal year. This is the activity in the general fund through March. We're supposed to be at 50% because we're at the middle of the year as far as revenues. And as you can see, the average right now is 62.22%. But the biggest one there is the property tax. Most of our property owners here in town, taxpayers, have already paid their property taxes. And that's the reason why that number is 92.7. Again, we do offer discounts for early payment, 3% in October, 2% in November, and 1% in December. If you pay your taxes by that period, those are the discounts that you get. If you look at the expenditures, we're at 50%. There are some areas where we probably need to look at and study it because they're over the 50%. And again, the budget, if you take out all the commitments, right now our budget shows ending fund balance, $14,268,599. We had the fund balance as of March of $25,244,286, but in reality, the unassigned number is $20,060,000. One of the things that we look at also is our credit rating when we issue debt. Currently, the city's credit rating is under Moody's, it's a AA3. Under Standard & Poor's, it's an A+, and Fitch ratings a AA-. Way back, if you go back to 91, we were at Baa1 for Moody's. If you look at the chart on top, you have medium grade. We were at medium grade, Baa1. Since then, we have gone all the way up to high quality, lower high quality rating. So we've gone actually four grade up from 91. So that's strong for us because they believed in us. We showed that we could generate enough strong fund balances, and that's one of the reasons why some of our credit rating was upgraded. And then we also have the other two, Standard & Poor's and Fitch. Now, Standard & Poor's has always been the toughest as far as grading. If you look at, for Standard & Poor's, we're classified as upper medium grade. Fitch, it's lower high quality. So that's, again, very, very strong for us. Last year, had we not issued this debt last year, we would have had to hit the fund balance by $7,560,000. So by issuing some of the debt that we issue over a long period of time, we were able to obviously not touch the general fund balance. We did have some we had police vehicles, landfill engineering, all the details is there. But one in particular is the street construction, and then you got library improvements and landfill improvements totaling 5 million, almost 5.5 million. Again, the library roof improvements, it's what's going on right now. It's taking place at this time. And of course, we also have some $3.5 million that was earmarked for streets. We did not use the majority of the street construction. It's being funded from the CDBG block grant and from the certificates of obligation of 3.5 million. The way we are right now, we'll probably be spending most of our money by early fall of this calendar year as far as for streets from the certificates of obligation series. And this is our debt. We have 149,780,000, but 8.9 million is self-supporting, meaning other agencies pay for it. We have Paseo La Resaca, we have these CDBG for the linear park, we have BCIC contributing, and then we have the JIBIC airport improvements. So it's 8.9 million. So in reality, our tech-supported debt is 140,880,000, not 149,780,000. These are some of the general fund. Now that we are required to classify, we have the assigned, then we have the committed. And on the committed, if you look on number 234, plastic ordinance fee, it continues to grow. We were at 300 some at the end of the fiscal year. We're at 559,890. And again, all these monies are what we call committed funds. We cannot touch unless the City Commission decides to do otherwise through a resolution or an ordinance. And these are all the other restricted funds that we have. General fund, the balance sheet, this compares 2011 and 2012. The undesignated fund balance, 19,411,889. What does it look between now and the end of the year? Our fund balance will probably be 11,341,522. And then this is another area where you show the 19,411,889 and all the commitments that are associated with that. Convention and tourism. This is one of the funds that we also maintain. We show a deficit of 291,524, but of course we have not made the transfer from the general fund of 392,049. Once that transfer is made, then obviously this fund will be in the black. Community developments in and out. Then we have the planning non-CDBG grants, we have Lopez UDEC 330,073. Some of these funds obviously are for economic development purposes. There are restricted for that purpose. As we move along, we have the non-bonded debt service of 11,693, the debt service of 5,011,218. There's another payment coming up in August, and that will reduce the fund balance by another 3 million. Landfill tipping fees, 700,911. Airport, we're showing more expenses than revenues. Bridge fund, motor vehicle, transit system. That's another area that we would like to discuss with you tonight. We just had a triennial review with people from the Department of Transportation. And one of the things that we were asking is, because of the new law, that if we go over the 200,000, we would not be able to apply for the operating assistance. It looks like we're going to go for another year. Hasn't been. I think this will go into effect until the year 2014. But as you can see, right now they fund 50% of the loss through March. The money that came from the feds was 920,605. You add that, double that, it's close to 2 million that we would be losing if we are not allowed to use some of the transit funds that we get right now that we could use for operations. The golf course, medical insurance fund. We're doing real well on this one. Again, TML is the third-party administrator. They do wonders for us. They're helping us with all the laws that are coming across. They keep up. We're also helping us with they're helping us with a wellness program, and this fund right now shows $2 million, $2,094,764 at the end of March. Again, the city of Brownsville is a self-funded insurance plan, and the third-party administrator is TML. Then we have other funds, ERA grants. I'm not gonna go to. This is almost all of these are done, almost done. But we do have to have them separate from other funds. That's the requirement. And again, at the end, we have the cash that the city has in various investments. We look at all those. We have $67,946,000, and then we also invest for the BCIC, the PID, and the GIBLI. That concludes my presentation. If there's any questions, I'll be happy to answer them. Again, this is an acknowledgement, so.
Yeah. If we have no questions, do I hear a motion to acknowledge?
So moved.
All those in favor, well, second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Motion passes.
Item 20, consideration and action to consider funding requested by Cameron County to complete the West Rail Bridge.
Mayor and Commissioners, good evening. Again, my name is Pete Sepulveda, County Administrator for Cameron County. Mayor, I'll send you an email in the morning. This time we didn't do it in a napkin, but it's a design that will fix the problem at the overpass by the switchyard. It doesn't have a seal, an engineer seal, but TxDOT can very easily take this to a schematic phase. So I'll email you that in the morning.
Thank you.
Mayor, we're here tonight requesting $2 million from the city of Brownsville to complete the West Rail relocation project. Over the 14+ years that I've been with Cameron County, the city and the county have partnered on many projects or many transportation-related projects. This specific project tonight will enhance the city, it'll improve the safety, it'll eliminate 14 at-rail crossings in the city of Brownsville. It'll facilitate the movement of rail from the port of Brownsville into Mexico. The very first project that, as a county employee, I partnered with the city of Brownsville on was the Veterans Bridge. At that time, we were developing and constructing the Veterans Bridge at Los Tomates. Cities are partner in that, and as Pete was mentioned earlier, between 1999 and the year 2011, the county transferred $22.5 million into the city's general fund. The other major project, and when we first started working on the West Rail relocation project, the city was developing, along with TxDOT, the East Loop project. Since that time, we have taken over that project at no cost to the city. That too is a safety project because the East Loop project would eliminate the need to have the overweight corridor from the Veterans Bridge to the Port of Brownsville that today allows commercial vehicles with a special permit to carry up to 120,000 pounds. And as you all know, about a month ago, there was a fatality there. When we complete the East Loop, and we've got a commitment to begin construction in the next 15 months, we will the East Loop will now be the new overweight corridor between the Veterans Bridge and the Port of Brownsville. So the majority of the commercial vehicles that are on International Boulevard today between the bridge and the port will now be on the East Loop road. We're about to complete an expansion of the Veterans Bridge, going from 4 lanes to an 8-lane bridge. That will alleviate the congestion and the mixture that we have of commercial traffic with the passenger vehicle traffic. We're adding another 4 lanes that will be used specifically for commercial vehicles and complement the East Loop project that we're working on. Another project we partnered with the city a couple of years ago. The city had $2.5 million in federal funds for the East Morrison Road project. However, because in acquiring the right-of-way and in relocating 26 tenants from the mobile park, the federal guidelines were not followed, and so the city was not able to use those federal funds. So we did an interlocal agreement with the city of Brownsville and the county took over the right-of-way acquisition for those 26 tenants. We went back and working with the city PUB, recreated the 26 files. We put notices in the newspaper. At the end, we were able to get in contact with about 95% of those 26 tenants. We went through utilizing the federal formula to calculate what each tenant should have gotten paid to relocate, and the city paid those out, and I believe it was within about 120 to 150 days, the city was able to utilize those federal funds and move forward with the East Morrison Road project that is now open, and it'll increase the city's tax base in the future. Another project we're working on is a realignment of FM 803. As you all know, FM 803 between 511 and Highway 100, we've had several fatalities along that stretch of road, so we're working with TxDOT and realigning that road, and we're hoping we've identified funds from TxDOT and county so that the city will not have to participate financially in that project in the future. We're also, the majority of the pedestrians, and we have about 6,000 pedestrians a day that utilize the Gateway Bridge. We're working on putting a canopy both in the southbound and the northbound lane so that it can have some protection to the pedestrians. And again, those pedestrians come to downtown Brownsville or they go to downtown Matamoros. We're about to begin a border master plan, and we're going to look at the entire Cameron County area from the Port of Brownsville to the Cameron County, Hidalgo County line, and look at potential projects within that area. We've got a commitment from the city of Matamoros, state of Tamaulipas, federal government in Mexico, as well as FONADIN, which is the Mexican Infrastructure Bank, that they will fund the projects on the Mexican side that are identified and are prioritized by the working group. Obviously, US 77, the conversion to interstate standard, we're about a little bit over $200 million shy of converting it to an interstate. We were in Austin last week where the Transportation Commission came up with a criteria to allocate over $2 billion in funds for different types of projects. There are two different categories totaling to $400 million that we believe we're going to be able to tap into a good amount of money to continue the improvements on US 77. There are 7 projects that remain primarily between Clayburgh County and Nueces County to be able to convert 77 to interstate standard. I was going to say next month, but this month, Federal Highway Administration should give us an environmental clearance on the entire 122 route between Brownsville and Corpus. Once we do that, it'll put us into a different level of category where we can tap into additional funds and make an interstate standard into Brownsville a reality. The county has allocated $2 million. We are going to improve Vermilion Road from FM 802 to State Highway 48, and we're in the engineering phase of that project. County also allocated $2 million to improve Old Dallas Road from FM 511 to Highway 100. On Old Dallas Road, I think we've got an even split of about 50% county, 50% city. Vermilion Road, I think it's about 70% county, 30% city, but nonetheless, the county has allocated those funds for those particular projects. And I'm sure in the future, we're going to partner on many other transportation projects. A couple that come to mind is we've got a potential possibility of partnering with TxDOT and expanding Military Highway from FM 3248 to hopefully the San Pedro area on Military Highway. We have the Flor de Mayo Bridge that will also be part of our border master plan in working with Mexico that's in the future. So I'm sure this is not the last project that we'll partner on, but we do need the funds to be able to complete the project in a timely manner. And as I mentioned, aside from that, we still have the issues with Homeland Security that we're hoping to be able to resolve in the next couple of months.
Pete, thank you, and rest assured that this city commission is fully intending to work in any way possible with the county and partner in any which way. At this particular time, it would be my considered opinion we are going to have a workshop on the budget this coming Thursday, and I think this item would be well served to be considered at that time by the entire commission. My first glance was, let's get a smaller group, but I think right now, I think it's incumbent upon us, after Pete's report, and the report that came to us from Mr. Barrera, is to kind of take a look at it in all total, everybody here. So everybody's got an input into what we're going to do. So unless somebody shares a different opinion, I don't know that we are prepared at this particular time to do anything more than thank you for your presentation, and perhaps maybe a motion to table might be in order, depending on the wishes of the commission.
I just have a couple of questions,
Sure.
Mayor.
Please, please.
Pete, what are our payment options, number one? Number two, what happens in the event that the city does not have an opportunity to provide support?
Some of the options that I've talked to staff about, one is, and you also saw the graphics from Mr. Gonzalez, the city gets about $1.6 million a year from the Veterans Bridge that the county transfers to the city. We don't necessarily have to get the $2 million up front. You know, we can work on a payment schedule over multiple years. You know, we can find a way to provide the interim finance if we needed to. You know, probably the easiest way is to issue debt through certificates of obligations, but you know, staff, that's their call. You know, I'm not sure what the cash flow situation would be for staff, so they would have to.
Pete, why don't you do this? In view of that question that was asked by Commissioner Zamora, why don't you give to Pete Gonzalez several different options which you might consider. You know, having been a trial lawyer for many times and many years, you know, there's always negotiations, and we kind of enjoy those things. So I don't take a look at anything that says it can't be done. I just figure out how it's going to be done, and you know, who gets. I mean, it's got to be a win-win situation. I mean, we're not trying to do anything that's untoward, but we certainly welcome the opportunity to be able to negotiate.
I'll get Mr. Gonzalez a couple of options.
Thank you, Commissioner Zamora. Anyone else have any questions? Okay, now it's an action item, then I
Motion to table item 20. Second.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Okay, motion
Thank you, Mayor.
carries. Thank you, though, Pete. Again, we will work with you.
Item 21, consideration and action to authorize and execute an interlocal agreement between the City of Brownsville, Texas and Cameron County, Texas regarding fiscal year 2012 Edward Byrne Memorial Justice Assistant Grant Program in the amount of $64,555.
Mayor, City Commission, this is simply an interlocal agreement between the City of Brownsville and Cameron County. This is in reference to item 13. It's a requirement of the federal grant. That's all it is, and I'm requesting your approval.
Move to approve.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Item 22, consideration and action to award a contract for street paving and drainage improvements for Honeydale Road.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor and Commissioners. This item before you is to award a contract to R&R Paving for the improvements to Honeydale Road from Los Habanos Boulevard to Wild Rose Lane. I recommend approval of this item.
Would approve?
I have a question.
Sorry.
I'm sorry. And maybe it's not appropriate at this time, but with respect to when you're improving that road, you've looked at whether or not bike signage, lanes, sidewalks are in order along that road?
Yes, we are including sidewalks, and once the paving is completed, we'll go in and stripe bike lanes. As a matter of fact, we're making it a little bit wider. For some reason, when it was built originally, it was only like 29 feet wide, so we're making it to the standard of 32 feet wide to accommodate both bike lanes and.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, so thank you very much, Carlos. So we have a motion and a second. Can I have a vote? All in favor say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Okay, motion carries.
Item 23, consideration and action to award a contract for the purchase, delivery, and installation of audio recording equipment, hardware, and software for 10 mobile computers for the Brownsville Police Department.
Mayor, City Commission, you authorized the purchase of 10 police vehicles. This is simply the computers, the video equipment, audio equipment, And just 121,000 and change is actually being funded through the forfeiture funds, not city funds. I saw the financial report, so just want to let you know that. And we're requesting your approval on this purchase. Once this happens, 2 new vehicles will be out by June.
Move to approve. Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Item 24, consideration and action to award a term contract for traffic paint for Brownsville Traffic Department.
Mayor's Commission here tonight to award the contracts for street paint for City of Brownsville. And for the red paint, NS Paints got the bid on that, 75-gallon buckets for $70. Sherwin-Williams, which is locally here at branch office, got the white and yellow paint. I recommend approval.
I have a question. On the bid tabulations at the bottom, it says the vendors at the very bottom, it says that there's 2 of them that were recommended.
I'm sorry?
At the bottom of the bid tabulation,
Okay. The recommendation?
yes.
Okay. The recommendation that was for the 5 gallons buckets for red chlorinated rubber paint, that was given to NS Paints. That was recommended for lowest bid, ma'am, and the Commissioner. And the Sherwin-Williams, that was for the white paint was $59.35, and for the yellow, it was $61.75.
Oh, okay. I
That was
see.
lowest bid.
I see. So we're awarding it because they were.
We're awarding because lowest bid. That is correct, Commissioner.
Okay. And Robert, if you have any extra paint, we could use it on the 18th?
We're working on that project.
Okay, I think I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Thank you.
Motion carries. Now's the time.
Motion to adjourn.
All those in favor say aye. Bye.
American Paint?